Peace and prosperity to all American Aborigines, aka the first Americans. Chief Holidays in the building. The truth is here. Hey man, we got the brother Trip in the building. Peace, brother. How you doing?
I'm all right. How about you? How about you?
Grand man,
Lifting this.
grand man. Hey Trip, I think this is our first time on a panel together, right?
Yeah, it's my first time talking on any of y'all sites or anything as far as now.
Okay, okay. Shout out to Aboriginal Power, man. Aboriginal Power and A1 gonna be coming in a minute, y'all. I seen Nonetheless. Shout out to Nonetheless gonna be coming through. Right now, me and the brother Trip, we're having a great conversation, and I had to push the play button, y'all, because he was dropping some jewels. So I really want to get back into our conversation. Trip, man, introduce yourself to the people, man. This is your first time. Let everybody know who you are and just your pedigree, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? And then we just gonna get into the conversation we have.
My name Trip. My actual Indian name is Trip Altonka. You know what I'm saying? It's something I grew up with. I live down south. I'll just say that for now.
Okay,
Down
no,
in,
man.
and what I was getting into was basically the consolidation of tribes. I brought this up on another panel where I said that the last person to consolidate tribes was Geronimo, and Pocahontas' father, before he gave her away, told her that that was the reason he was sending her, because they were going to wage a war to try to consolidate our tribes. And I think now, moving forward, to win, we have to make our own tribe, our own new language, our own new thing, and then create a nation in that, and stop worrying about so much the past, because those tribes, a lot of them, it has treaty law and all this other stuff, but we can create our own new tribe and consolidate all of these thoughts, whether you Cherokee, Iroquois, Yamazi, any of those things, and just we have to create our own new name and all that, because the past can't be undone with the legal system right now. But we can get our rights back, and create our own tribe, and create our own way of speaking and all that. And I think that would be more productive towards what the goal is. I know that's a crazy ideal, and a lot of people say, well, why give up that culture? But that culture is lost to the vessel of colonialism. But we can create our own new culture inside of this tribe structure and all become that. And through giving ourselves a name, and through giving ourselves an identity. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's starting to construct our own constitution of law, our code of conduct, how we will, approach each other, all that stuff you talk about having jobs and businesses can come, but you got to have a culture. Without a culture, we're just the people that's lost in the wind, because culture dictates everything. Like you were saying about the Chinese, Asians, even if Asians don't know each other, they still hire Cambodians here, Indians there, because they have a culture and idea of what they expect from one another. But we don't have the expectation of one another, because we don't have a culture or a tribe structure to have rules. And there has to be repercussions to these rules. Just like the white man got law, we have to uphold our laws with the vehement of our own force and our own will. But we run everything in this country, whether it's music and all this and ideas of visual arts. Most of the things that keep everybody asleep is ours, and all we have to do is begin to put it in perspective that we won't sell our music here. We won't do these certain things because it goes against the culture of our new tribe, whatever that name is, as a people we come up with. And once we do that, I believe that a win is very achievable in this world. Also because, legally the UN and a lot of other places have agreed on a lot of this stuff, but we are the ones that are still trying to say, well, we Cherokees. Once you start saying another tribe's name, and we're all these different tribes, you understand you put yourself in a segregated section, and we all can't be one then. Because once we get up to those tribal structures, you're gonna be looking at a blonde haired, blue eyed white man who's telling you this and that, and this is how this runs, instead of us being in control of our own destiny.
Word. Um, Yo, for me, man, like I was saying to you right before we went live, um, I figured it out. Like it has nothing to do with a lot of these things, the names and stuff like that or whatever, or certain corporations. That means that people have they got trademarks and stuff like this on
Yep.
these words, right? They own these words. So revenue and currency comes when other people or anybody are using these words, right? So certain energy, like we're talking real physical energy, not if it, real physical energy comes from having money, having resources to be able to build the lumber, nails, whatever you need to build. All these things cost, right? The manpower,
Yep.
or whatever. And at this point, to even to get us to organize together, It takes economics because nobody's gonna, hey man, I'm gonna quit my job and come over and start working. How you gonna feed your family? How you gonna start doing things? How you gonna even feed yourself if none of these things are in place to walk off their plantations, right?
Yep.
And walk in theirs. The question on the table, the last couple live streams, right? Last night we said what the answer. The question is if we own every square inch of the economic in America, every business and every job, we have a 0% unemployment, right? Zero. We're all the top execs. Like, like you walk in a boardroom and it's all of our people, American Aborigines. All of our people, y'all. Y'all know what I'm saying? Like, it ain't nobody else. We own every major corporation that's doing business in America, okay? Would we still be in the social second class positioning socially? Will we still be socially at the bottom of the social ladder? I need to know this.
Well, I'll give you my answer to that is who says that we don't? Who says that our energy and our power don't control all of that? Because if it wouldn't be for these rappers or if it wouldn't be for our music, a lot of this stuff don't float. If it wouldn't be for our ideas and our inventions, a lot of this stuff don't work. And at the end of the day, like I told him, I don't believe that, this white boy is smart enough to pull all this off. I believe that we have a group of snitches, or that's the word I use, is running around here that is our people, is working with him in conjunction to keep us in that position through elitism. So that's why I say I go back to culture. A culture and currency sometimes ain't, it can be money, of course, in this world is money, but if we go too hard on that, they'll just change the rules on us. But also it has to be an idea of give and take. People have to be willing to pay roles. Some of us need to start getting into agriculture. Some of us need to get into other areas and separate ourselves in almost a military style engineering complex. You know what I'm saying? And once we can do that, a lot of times, even if you're not getting money, but if I make sure you got a roof over your head and food because we share within each other, a lot of that money is just can be put back into the greater good of things. Because at the end of the day, I just don't believe that this white boy is slick enough and smart enough to pull off a lot of stuff that he's pulling. So I believe it because of the way our music keeps the world sleeping and dancing, and a lot of the stuff that goes on in this culture of America is really surrounded around the black thought, the what you call Black American thought, the Black American ideas. We created a lot of this roads, everything, the city structure, banking. So if we had it, could we use it? It just depends. But at the end of the day, we fighting people, I think, in plain sight that we just don't see. So we could be in control, but without a culture, an identity of if you're not gonna ride with us, there's consequences. Then you know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's just still gonna be a free for all. Capitalism is about free for all. Capitalism is about putting my boot on your neck and standing up on it. And whoever step up, I'm gonna put my boot on everybody's neck to get to the top of that thing. Instead of let the smartest and the righteous lead through the proxy of the tribe, picks them
Right.
up and says, you know what I'm saying? These are the most worthy, and everybody else plays a role. Because
You're
sometimes
right.
people just not in this
But
world.
the government, the corporation won't let you to run a capitalistic government right now
Absolutely.
because of the way they want it ran, and they don't want the power to go back to the people ultimately, and we the people, as us being indigenous aborigines, we got to start taking back what culture is ours and what culture
Yes.
is getting mimicked and mirrored throughout the planet. Hip hop is part of our culture. That's nobody else's culture. That's Black American culture.
Yep.
So when you
Because
hear
of that
hip hop
pride.
throughout the world, that's our culture. You see what I'm saying? And we got to start taking place and start taking ownership of our own shit.
And I think that begins with again a culture. I mean by culture is something. It's got to be something that we teach our children. A code of ethics. It has to be something that where like they say on New Jack City, my brother's keeper type shit. Because sometimes we have to live by those kind of. It's got to be a code. It ain't got to be said like they say down here. Was ain't got to be said, ain't got to be explained or something like that. Monk and them be saying, but it's like it still has to be instilled and reinstilled in the next generation. Because I think right now we're just the beginning of a fire. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know if we're gonna see all this to the end. But if we can create a culture of be accountable, hold this not right. If it's not right, then you don't fool with them people. You know, it's just got to be like that. So if we have people in our community that's so-called black, and then they start doing stuff that's going against the culture, we just boycott them. You get on out of there. You know what I'm saying? If we had a culture like that, and Asians do this every day. If Asians go to a shop and they're not getting treated well, they'll stop going to that shop until it change management. You know, it's a lot. It's a lot of stuff that happens like that in other cultures that we just not privy to, because we live in a culture of, like I say, we've been in capitalism too long, and on capitalism it's all about who am I going to step on to get to where I'm going by any means. Like, and then again, that can be used against us, that Malcolm X saying by any means necessary. Dudes in the streets use that to say, shoes, I'm a turn on my boy because I need to get this money by any means necessary. But without a strong culture, you can't really put in place a lot of these things, because you don't have anything to hold people accountable. You don't have a code of ethics to say this ain't right and that's right. You know what I'm saying? He gone. But I say that because, like you talked about, you do remodeling and stuff. Everybody got to play a role in those kind of jobs. So I've been bossing my own company for a while, and I understand that if I got a sheetrocker, he got to be a sheetrocker. He can't go want to be a painter. You know.
Facts.
You know.
Peace, Aboriginal powers in the building. Peace to the God, man. Of Copper Grizzly. What's going, brother? Yeah, A1 gonna be following through in a minute too. El Hondo L, the God, will be in the building. Let me see what we got in the building right now. We got Nighthawk first in the building. That salute to the tribes. We got DOT. Hey, DOT, man, I never asked you this, man. What does DOT stand for? It says peace to the knowledge builders. Shout out to all the great ones tuned in too, man. We definitely appreciate y'all. We got Creek and River Kayaks. What up, though? Marcus Adamu. What's up, Marcus? Peace to the guys, man. Chief, where the link? Root words. That's root word, that's you? All right, root word. Got you, don't trip. Root word will be in the building as well. But yeah, man, we're gonna have the whole concept today is y'all see it, man, RIP to Pan Africanism, man. It was already dead. We should be having like a seance or something. You know, these niggas is conjuring up spirits and dumb shit, bro. And it's just crazy shit ever to me. Um, I seen Dr. Leonard Jeffries was talking about the beef between Karenga and Dr. Ben, right? You know what I'm saying? And what was going on, and obviously we all human, so just they didn't have social media so niggas can air they differences out. You know what I'm saying? If you caught certain television shows, a lot of things, these things were underground anyway. You know what I'm saying? They were underground, basically being funded. We're gonna get back to that, to push right African agenda on brothers and sisters that didn't have an African agenda. So they were actually being rejected. So when we're talking about Pan-Africanism or whatever, our people rejected it in the beginning, in the inception of Pan-Africanism, right? We're going to talk about who is the actual father of Pan-Africanism. We're not about to speculate. We're not about to talk about Kwame Ture. No, like I want to know, like somebody needs to explain to me, why is there not one so-called African in the Pan-African movement, right? So when we talk about, we broke down Pan, Lotus Civilization is beat up Pan out like years ago. Like it's just nothing. Bro, Sanchez has killed Pan. Like Pan is dead, y'all. Like Pan is the
Well,
actual.
a
Yeah,
lot of people don't understand the concept of Pan. So, and for that, you got to let a person get their own way out. And we at the point right now where we so far at our mission that we can't stop to go back. And like I told people at the beginning of this mission 2, 3 years ago when we first came into it strong, I got no time to distinguish the different snakes. Now you got poisonous snakes and you got non-poisonous snakes. My job is to get rid of the snakes. I don't care what if they poisonous or not. I ain't got the time to stop and see whether this a good garden snake or a viper snake. I got to get rid of all the snakes, and that's just what the mission is right now.
Yeah, but the one
Right,
way to
right.
get rid of that snake is to understand how he's moving and make sure that you don't follow in the same steps that he followed to get to where they at. You know what I'm saying? But sometimes we
Correct.
can't. You know, they brainwashed us so much that, especially because we all come out of that you know, a lot of us went through that Pan African circle to get here.
Of course.
So you ought to understand that they use a type of speaking points and talking points and ideas and certain ways of putting stuff forward that if a person comes in and listen to it, we should start trying not to sound as much like them as we can. So that way, you know, but you have to understand how they use it. You know what I'm saying? Study how they talk, study how they present things, study how they do that so you can say, okay, what's the anti to that? At any point in the war, you have to understand whatever your enemy is good at, you want to learn how they're good at it and manipulate it to your point, but you also want to learn what they're bad at and use that to your strength. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely, absolutely. But like I said, y'all, go back to the chat room to us in here right now. I think I seen No More in the building. Shout out to No More.
And I think it's up for us to start using our own eyes to be able to distinguish who is our people and who ain't our people. And you can tell who really for your people by the work that they're putting in, right? Now, just because you got people that look like you don't mean that they for your people. Just because you got people doing right for your people don't mean that they your people. If y'all
True.
understand what I'm saying. So we got to learn how to be able to distinguish the two. God gave us intellect to be able to read between the lines.
So I want to ask y'all. He asked a
That's
good
fact.
question. Who do y'all think the father of Pan Africans is?
Well, I'm gonna break them down in a minute. And the
Say it one
people,
more
Okay.
time, brother.
I said, who do you
he said,
think the
who we think is
father
the
of Pan?
the father of Pan
Because I'm
Africanism?
trying to think of the dude's name that the with the French name that
I
I
forget
thought it
what it
was.
is, but pan goes back to the global unit. Every symbolism that they worship, they want it to be put at as a social act or some type of social movement. So when you see pan, you see the same symbol that you see with yin and yang, right? You see the same feminist symbols when you look at the uh the uh the ancient cosmology of duality, right? Pan is just another physical manifestation of that with manipulation. So what you look at is what's the big rise now, right? The Pan African community. What's another big rise? Transgenderism, LBGQ community, right? When you look at Pan, the goat guy, which is a man with titties, right? Ultimately sitting on top of a pedestal. If you were to say anything that is slandering or belittling someone in the LBGQ community, you will get punished for that because they're on a pedestal. They're literally a fucking gay goat sitting on a pedestal, and that's what pan is.
Right. Well, and they'll come up with a generic terminology for it or whatever, right? But when we're talking about just Pan Africanism, right? Just the concept, the guy that they're saying is the father of Pan Africanism, right? His name is Edward Wilmot Blyden. Okay. Born in the Caribbean islands. He was given. He called it Ethiopianism, right? He called it Ethiopianism, right? So his teacher was a priest named John P. Knox, right? So you do your research on John P. Knox. He got him into Rutgers, you know what I'm saying, stuff like that or whatever, to further indoctrinate him not only in Ethiopianism, right, which he said that Zionism was the model. This is quote. Zionism was the model for Ethiopianism. Okay, so he didn't say actual pan,
Wow.
but they cite Edward Wilmot Blyden for Pan Africanism. With you have to ask the question, who taught him that? His teacher is John P. Knox. Look these people up. right? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, so Edward Whitman Blyden would be that guy or whatever. But he pushed Ethiopianism. He didn't push Pan-African. He wasn't pushing Africa. A lot of people that they're saying that are still not pushing Africa. They were just dark skinned people. So so they kind of morphed it. Somebody came and hijacked Ethiopianism. Okay?
Okay. How did he get up? So was he from Africa? This man, the Ethiopian
No,
is
he was
pushing.
from the Caribbean islands.
He was from the Caribbean. How did he get this? Did they ever explain how he got here?
A missionary named John P. Knox was his.
So that's why I want to say that means that it wasn't called the CIA back then. I think it was called the U.S. Secret, sir, the OSS. That's what it is. So I still believe a lot of this got to do with the OSS and CIA run usurpers. You know what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, that still would be a government. Yeah.
Because think
Because
about it, these entities were in the church, whether it's Methodism, the AME sector or the Christian sector or any other sectors that they let so-called Ethiopians in, right? And not from Ethiopia. Ethiopianism does not come from where it's called Ethiopia now. Ethiopianism means that you were pushing a concept of your people first, okay? So I don't think that John P. Knox, though, would be pushing Zionism, right? Because basically Pan-Africanism, basically what is birth or the model for Pan-Africanism would be Zionism, right? So when you go back and you figure out, well, who's funding these Pan-Africans? And it is the Zionists. Like, it's just facts, y'all. And that's the crux of everything that we're talking about. It's ironic that they're pushing this whole rah, black, bliggity black black power shit, right? But it is being literally funded by Zionists.
But that's why you could brought up a good point about Zionism. Zionism is a term that was coined after the fall of Nazi Germany, after the OSS MI6 took over Germany and they created the state of Israel, who was, to me, were still the Nazis that were basically escaped, like the Nazis that came here. So then you're still dealing with and the Zionism is the word to me, because Zionism has a connotation. If you go historically and look it back up, it says a lot about what these programs really was. You know what I'm saying? They was a program to build and destroy what was already happening, because at that time we still had the Harlem Renaissance going on. We had, black people actually were on an uptick without the help of the government or any outside things. But when you bring in stuff like that, look where we at now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, bro, it's just completely. We can always trace where it comes from. Like I don't care what nobody says. So even when you talk about the NAACP, right? Who funded that? Who founded that? Zionists. Like everybody who funded Carver, like who funded Duke Ellington, who funded like everybody, y'all. I don't care what you say. Because if you do, I'm gonna go find him for you. Don't challenge us on this. Just accept it. Don't take it like, oh man, nobody's banging. No, but what we're saying is, if we have a clear and present culprit in history, why the fuck are we still funding those people? Why the fuck are we still honoring those people that fucked our people over, right? So, and I cite two books. Shout out to the Nation of Islam for this, and I think it was interesting that they pulled this out, right? But when we talk about the secret relationship between black leaders and Jews, right? 1 and 2. Please read those books. Go see something on them, lectures or whatever you got to do. Please, because I'm gonna keep it real with y'all. I try to avoid that because this is where we at. You know what I'm saying? We in Zionville, real shit. So when we talking, like everything, every bank, every school, every fucking thing in America is by them. Everything. So goes back to the concept of, if we were in economic empowerment, right? Would we be in this position socially in America, right? But guess what? The reality and the flip side of this whole thing is that we are the actual other side of that utopia that I was just talking about. You know what I'm saying? At some point before immigrants came here, we had 100% of the economic structure, trading and everything that was going on this land here in America. We were trading amongst each other for millions of years, if not hundreds of thousands of years, so on and so forth, right? Before anybody was thought about. So point being is, right, if that's the goal, not and if anybody's sending you back to Egypt every year, right? Mentally, physically, emotionally, or whatever, sending you to Sumer every year, right? Or sending you to anywhere other than America with your spiritual energy, with right? Every religion sends you to East off this land. Every religion. Is that not ironic to you guys? Because if you're sending all your spiritual energy to Israel, right? That means that you're not honoring the holy land that you're standing on, or your ancestors came up out of, bled, died for on this land before anybody brought a foreign concept to them. You understand what I'm saying? Or to you, because a lot of y'all didn't get this stuff passed down to you. We new booties. We bring new shit to our families. And these niggas was bringing new African shit to our families, and our people were rejecting them back then. And they know that. This is facts. So it was interesting that Dr. Leonard Jeffrey was saying that like they were banned from Morehouse. Now this is the whole African concept is what Morehouse and every other black college in America is founded on. Think about it, bro. This is a perfect storm of fuckery. Hey, I'm telling you, we got screwed economically, and that's the whole key, bro. Everything else is like niggas is talking about water hoses and stuff, or slaves, stuff like that. Slaves were being paid, slaves was fighting for wages, slaves was talking like hours, can they get a lunch? You know what I'm saying? You niggas act like niggas was owning niggas' whole families because you were basing that off of one or two stories in the book that cannot be substantiated. You base your whole existence of slavery, of nothingness, based off of literally off of stories that are given to you by these people. And we have traced from Hersevix, Boaz, the origin of Pan-Africanism, okay? The whole concept of back to Africa, right? These concepts were funded for social, political, economic empowerment of immigrants coming to America that took power from us. We showed the selling of a Negro, where in the 50s, they were literally plotting, right? Plotting to get into our economic structure here in America. So that's something that's filmed, right? So imagine 50 years before that, 100 years before that, what was going on? We constructed America. So when you guys are saying, well, it's like cooning if you want to vote or you want to do this, you want to do this. No, you know, or build in your community, right? What? That's anti-American. That's an immigrant talking. Ahanu L is in the building. Hey, real word, I had already emailed that to you too, brother. But y'all understand what I'm saying? So when we talking about the importance of history, right? That's what we're gonna get into, right? The true history of America, right? Here's the whole problem that they got, bro. We got actual evidence. We got actual science that Negroes are the oldest people in America, right? But guess what? Just because we find a little boy in Montana that's 12,600 years old, guess who was here 1,200 years ago, or 1,400 years ago, or 1,600 years ago, or 3,000 years ago? It was niggas. Guess who bones are in the ground? Niggas. So when y'all be saying shit, it's dumb to me. It is dumb. Like and so it goes back to who's funding y'all. It goes back to when we talk about these. I don't even like, bro. Listen, if this is a plot, there's a government agency that's literally plotting against the American people, right? There should be somebody should come forward, and whatever the case may be. I don't know if a president could come in with a 4 or 8 year term and stop a system that's going. Right? So I don't know who can stop that. It has to be the American people. You understand what I'm saying? We give power to too many other people, and we keep putting a color on it. The whole color scheme is a part of the caste system that works both against everybody that's doing it. But the people that's a lighter tones to pale benefit more in this caste system. But you niggas push it more than them. And that's a problem. And most of y'all are just being like, think about it. The ones that are talking about this live amongst the people that they are pushing everybody else, sending everybody else to hate, talking about you a suspected white supremacist and dominant society, but you live in dominant society, bro. You live like you can walk out the door. Matter of fact, you can go out your bedroom and one will walk in your living room. Hey, good morning. Want some eggs? Right? So it's just these conversations will just be dumb, especially if you pushing the bliggity black and I'm proud, right? Right? Banging on Sister Zaza Ali because she's mixed, right? But your mother-in-law is Jewish. This is real. Ain't nobody paying attention to this. So my whole point, I'm trying to like just impress on everybody. Like we need to be like talk less on dumb shit and on things that matter. We talk history that might seem dumb to other people, but we talk history and science and archaeology and geology and all these different things because we have been taught total opposite against what we're saying. So when the brother Aboriginal Power is saying zero comes from America, right? And then they start laying down archaeology, right? Your concept will have to come from Sumer. Sumer is, right? Sumer, y'all know what Sumer is? They say these are Sumerians. Sumerians are the so-called Hyksos or whatever, right? That came in and took over Egypt. Are they still there? Oh, what's going on? Do they practice Egyptology in Egypt? Do the people in Egypt? No, they practice Islam. Same religion they practice in Ghana, Mali, Nigeria, right? So it's just a funny whole thing, you know, that these niggas is way over here practicing a mythological mummy shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Nobody's over there walking around looking like Shaka Amos. Shout out to Shaka Amos. I think he's a very smart brother. He's sharp. And I know that he's been watching and seeing, like, goddamn, and doing the research on his own family. And I goddamn bet you he's not tracing his family back to Kemet. That nigga from Alabama. He can trace himself back to the pyramids here in America. That's the importance of Shaka Amos or Dr. Anthony T. Broder or these people like that or whatever. That all this information that you guys are figuring out and how to dig there, reason why they're funding you to dig over there, Dr. Broder, but they're not going to fund you to dig over here. Trust me. Trust this. They're not going to fund this.
Well, they slowly getting to America. They slowly getting there. You know, they just did that.
Yeah, well, I mean, geological... you know, niggas been excavating in America since they came here. They said that, I think, was it Thomas Jefferson? They said he was the first archaeologist excavating pyramids and shit when they came here. So they know what
Thomas Jefferson was the one that said we were here. He called us Swanee or whatever it was, Swarzy. You know, the words he used to describe the people here.
They say that Thomas Jefferson grandfather used to take him to the mound as a little boy because he's indigenous, right, to his land, and honor their ancestors that was in the mound. So he already knew. So for me, if you know your ancestors, would you excavate that pyramid or mound? I'm not.
I mean, there's a lot of people back in those days that, you know, we look at and we don't realize they mulatto. You know, there's a lot of people in this so-called founding fathership that wasn't all the way European white, as you call them now, but that's kind of been lost in the history of time. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I know they wouldn't do that.
Blocked, man. Y'all some suckers. I just want to say that for the record, y'all. I'm the most blocked nigga on YouTube. Like, it don't even make sense. Like, I promise I don't be over there. And like, I'm in my, you know, like, I'm like, yo, bro, like, peace. How y'all doing? Block. Like, or just like, I might say something like, you know, hey, scientists say this, or I'm fighting things from the things that they say in Pan-African world that they believe in, right? But the crazy part about it is you got a rift in different breakups in the Pan-African community. You got a bunch of people that don't even consider themselves Africans, don't even like Africans. Y'all remember Captain Cesariak would even let the little African little boy come to their picnic and eat that he was African? Y'all remember that? I know y'all remember that. I seen it. I thought it was crazy.
I didn't see that. So you gotta explain that. Yeah. I don't really watch those channels no more because it's just.
This was years ago. You remember that?
I remember he actually was going to let him till he figured out he was African.
Nah, thank you. He was born in America, but he was like, man, your mama.
He was like a little 13-year-old boy. He said, "Nah, you can't come to my cookout. We don't feed Africans." Straight up.
Tell you, just like that, straight like that. I thought that was the funny shit, but it was sad.
And no, but you gotta listen to that. If we stay strong and firm on our shit, like no disrespect, but we only feed our own, we only do for our own, we only help our own, we only shop with our own, then we might be better off.
And honestly, I don't got a problem with that. That's a form of culture. That is a form of culture. That is a form of culture, though. And in this day and age, I dare you to try to go to a Jamaican barbecue. You know, Jamaican. I did that shit in college one time. They look at your ass like.
You just can't to the Johnson family barbecue and say.
Yeah, I don't know about that. It's a nigga out here trying to say, "I'm cousin." Come on, then, boy.
Nigga. Like, y'all know him? Like,
hey, but you know, our elders was like they still don't eat. At least my people is like that.
Of a global guy, man. So I know who I am, and obviously we need to come together, no matter, despite our differences. We all gonna have some differences, but that's how you talk to them. We can, if you mad about a certain situation or words and like Moor, Indian or whatever, right? And you're a good intention brother as a Moor, and you're a good intention brother as an Indian, right? Then you can work past those words. If not, you a sucker. That's why I don't like. We'll consider whoever you think you are, but I'm blocked.
But see, those labels is what I was talking about earlier. You said
in the chat room, let alone come on the panel. So I just think it's interesting that that's why I go by Candyman, because these niggas are scared.
But that's what I was saying about culture earlier. Like he said, he a Moor.
Information.
Yeah. But if he playing the Moor and I'm playing the native, we can't build like that. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes.
But what I'm saying is, people don't have a correct understanding of what a Moor is. You see what I'm saying?
I agree with that. And I'm not trying to get on the point of like, let's go over Moorish history.
African, slave, nothing. No, these
niggas
don't got no motherfucking Berber history. No, these niggas are not Berbers. So stop telling me about that. So if you trace yourself back to African, cool. That's cool. Do you?
But understand that the history
chronologically of dates and times. So even when we talk about this little peace treaty and stuff like that or whatever, they wouldn't be repping for Tunisia, aka Barbaria at the time. It was a Barbary fucking treaty. Shout out to Cujo. He just posted this. I screenshotted it. He just posted some day from yesterday. That makes no sense to me. You guys SummerSlam screen yourself. He put up the seal like, yeah, right here. There's more. It says Barbary across the top of it.
But Moorish doctrine is split in half too. If you understand the size of the dragon and the phoenix, so they're not. I don't think that. They running on 100% as well, because there's a dragon Moor and there's a phoenix Moor. A lot of those, phoenixes got killed in what they call, the war of the Moors. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I say using those words and not having a full context of them is a little bit dangerous, because there's a Moor that's actually a working Moor, what you call a lifestyle, and then there's a Moor from over there who's a Muslim, and then there's a Moor here that's a Mason. You know what I'm saying? The Shiner heads. You know what I'm saying? And even real Moors will tell you that a lot of them dudes are Prince Hall Masons.
Well, it's a little deeper than that too, though. You feel what I'm saying? Because the Shriners only stole a science that was utilized by certain people here in mystic school. The Masonry,
but do you understand how visually, because sign
the real mound builders.
Because when you go with the sign of the white man riding around the go-kart on July 4th with the feds on, it's a sign and a symbol that says something that at this moment we kind of have. It's troubling to use some of those signs and symbols only because it's been usurped by the enemy. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes when the enemy takes your lineage and takes your stuff, that's what we do in music. I mean, all this stuff comes from jazz. Now it's a dark contrast from jazz and hip hop, but it's all linked together. But if you really look how we kept moving the goalposts, we always keep moving. So sometimes we can't get stuck in old mores, and we have to learn how to flex it a little bit, change it here and there so it doesn't feel the same. It doesn't totally look the same, so that we
Right. We
don't
always
get stuck.
updated and changed stuff throughout time. And that's right. And that's why you see names and customs and certain things implemented throughout time too. So yeah, you absolutely right. Peace, Ahanu L. A1. What's going on, bro?
Peace to the brothers, man. It was really good. I'm just letting y'all
Yeah.
build. I ain't gonna intervene about the Moorish thing, cause
Nah, man, you the historian, dog. Drop them facts.
but we already kind of covered most of that. It's just
Yeah.
more the reason why we having a such hard a problem identifying it, because like for you to learn from something, you have to learn from the individuals. You can't learn from somebody who is not that. You know what I'm saying? You gotta, if you know what the Moors is, you cannot just go to a couple of channels and really, you have to really study it. You can't just go to a YouTube channel or Google search and say, oh, look, I told you they was Africans. I told you they was, nah, it's a little deeper than that. It's a lot deeper than that, man. It's a lot
And
deeper
I
than that.
just think that more in some ways was kind of a traveling term. You know, if you a lot of ways. Some I think because again we talking about a group of people that come from caves that we taught everything. So we the understanding of language and the English because especially languages we speak. We because right now the language that black people speak is a lot like old Indian language, but we flip everything. A bird can be a bird that fly. A bird can be some drugs. A bird can be a female. So we have different meanings for every damn thing. So their linguistic patterns is way different than what we actually would have used those words for. So sometimes I just say we need to update the information, and we also need to start learning how to move the goalposts a little bit so they can't. Because every time we flip, there shouldn't be no little pumps in the rap game if the rap game wasn't dumbed down. But there was a time when lyricism was there that these guys couldn't get in the game. But that's the reason why, because we always update the music, we update our style. There was a time we wore creased jeans and baggy big jerseys. Now, you know what I'm saying? The clothes look like we control all that, but we have to learn how to say, how do we not look and present this to our people like we them? You know what I'm saying? Not saying don't use the term, but somehow kind of make it our own again. You know what I'm saying? And that's how we win the war of minds and our power, because our energy and who we are is what makes us who we are.
Mm-hmm.
And we keep the world dancing. We keep these niggas ignorant. You think about what's going on in the news and everything. If it wasn't for all our music, a lot of things would be more open and entertaining. But because of the club and all this, the things that we create, it keeps people dancing and looking in other places and worried about what's on media takeout and all that stuff instead of what's really pertinent at this time. Because we've created a culture in which they've used it against us as a weapon. But we'll change it. It's gonna flip. They did it to jazz, they did it to rock and roll, they did it to country every time, but we always have to be one step ahead. A best chess player is always 10 steps ahead of his opponent. And I think we got, just start thinking about taking steps to be a little bit more ahead of this, of these our enemies would be something to really be thinking about. And I don't knock your term because I don't know. I know a little bit about Moors. I know some of my peoples, but I know a lot of them also are Masons, and I just kind of been turned off by that part. But at the end of the day, once you start wearing or looking like the dude on the go kart, then I have to be like, it's got to be something where we can kind of make this not look like and feel like that. You know what I'm saying? So
Let
that
me
way
put you on
it won't.
something too. What you were saying about the Masons, right? The Moors with the Masons don't got the same feathers like the regular MSTA Moors, man. And I don't. This is the laughable shit. Why I know people don't know shit what they be talking about. And I'm not saying you. I'm just saying just in general, right? Because if you look at the Moors, you look at the Moors that I'm sorry. If you look at the Shriners, for example, right? Like you look at J. Edgar Hoover and all his clownish friends that was wearing the fez. Their fez got a tape, like a tassel. The tassel is taped down. Plus, it has the so-called pharaoh symbol on it. The pharaoh symbol is whatever lodge secrets it has. I mean, and it gets a little deeper than that. I'm not 100% correct on what I'm saying about the lodge secrets is, but what I'm saying is that pharaoh on top and then that Shinnika is to tell them that they cannot tell the secrets in which they learned. Okay, so when you say Moors are Masons, like, I mean, a Mason, we was Masons anyway. A Mason in old times was people who had the knowledge, and the reason what made them off limits or people wouldn't fuck with them, like to the point to where they would just go and grab all the Masons and kill them, because the Masons was the builders.
Yeah, but that's called a working Mason under the Masonic doctrine.
But
Now these are
that's where the term came from,
speculative
though. Yeah,
Masons.
I
Yeah, I know what
got
you're
you. Yeah,
saying.
that's where the term. That's where the whole symbology of masonry came from keeping them secrets. The secrets to uplift or to bring yourself out. You know what I'm saying? The acknowledge oneself. That's the secrets
Yeah,
that most of these
Right.
masons is keeping. It's not, and it's
They
like
still know the science to how to build mounds and everything. That's the true. I mean, the true mound builders, the science to build. Period. All these ancient architects, the Masons, is the ones who implemented this science.
mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? They knew leverage. You see what I'm saying? They knew the science between. Nah, so we
yeah.
got
But
to
when we
give
go back to
credit
that,
to.
you talk like Benjamin Banneker. You know what I'm saying? The street builder. You know, but
We
he
talking
actually.
before Benjamin Banneker. We
Yeah,
talking about the construction of the
and I
cow.
understand. Yeah, yeah, but you know those Masons to me were like on another level because they actually. But that's why I go back to roles. They had a system in place where you had guys like us who were thinkers, and we would put down the plot. Then you had guys underneath them, what you would call managers, that would get the people in place to do. And then you would have your guys that do the mortar. This guy does that, and they took pride in their work. They wasn't mad because they were putting rocks up or they were the guy building the building. They actually had a family class that they were proud to pass that down to their son to say, yeah, this is what we do. I want you to be the best at that. And that was a time where that actually system was in place. Now everybody want to be the boss.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Everybody want to be the man. Don't nobody want to play a role. Don't nobody want to be proud because they know how to, put the framing up on the house. They want to say, well, when can I be the one making the decisions? But sometimes you're not built to make those decisions, and you should take pride in where you at. And that's why those Masons I do think were on a different level than those here now. Because these speculative Masons, it's still a capitalistic kind of thing. You always got to be pushing to go up your degrees. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes that means stomping on your brother's neck.
All the time it means that. I mean,
Hmm.
it means if it's not stomping on your literally brother's neck, it's stomping on your other brother that's not part of the Masonic Mason. I mean, that's not part of the Masonic lodge that you are part of. So you can be part of a Maj, and outside of the Maj, you can be causing some type of harm to the brothers and sisters of the community or other communities or other cities, etc. And like I said, and a lot of times that's pretty much what it's dealing with, is dealing with just keeping the secrets away from certain individuals. And like I said, if I'm the only person who know how to if I'm the only person who know how to grow food or whatever, I'm wielding some type of power. But the minute that someone else learns the science of it, then you know what I'm saying, now it's another person who can do it that I'm not going to be needed, because, and especially if he's generous with it and he teach everybody and he let everybody know about the science or whatever, then you know what I'm saying, that's how I look at it. You know what I'm saying? But like I
Yeah,
said,
but see,
man,
but not everybody can be like I said. If you were the main person making food, and again, that's a idea that I think we got to get out of. If I'm doing it too, then there should be an idea. If our culture was right, use
yeah,
cooperation to make the best product.
mm-hmm,
Stop trying to be in competition with that, man. When you can say, hey man, that's cool, man, let's work together to see how we can do the best that we can do. Because just because I teach 100 people how to farm don't mean 100 people good at it. It might
mm-hmm,
be 5 of them that's really excellent at it, and those are the 5 we use to be like y'all or the food makers. Now the other 10 might be good at producing the crops and getting them out the ground. Everybody can play a role in that, and if they take pride in what they're good at, and then everybody doesn't have to be in competition, but there should be a little friendly competition still, but it doesn't have to be animosity. You always want to be the best and want to say, yeah, I pulled out 100 this week, you only had 75, but I'm gonna get you next time. But it ain't gotta be hate. That could be something we take pride in to say, yeah, man, we doing the damn thing. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, everybody eat. You know what I'm saying? Because the pride should be is watching your people grow and watching the children eat your corn and all that and say, yeah, we did that, and being able to sit with that brother and not be like, forget him. He made more this month. Woo, woo. You know what I'm saying? But
mm-hmm.
the world we live in now, because everybody want to be the boss, then you can't. They don't want to look at it like that. It's like, I got to get him out the way, or I'm mad that he's doing it too. But sometimes we got to tell people just because you know how to do something don't mean that you're good at it. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? There's a lot of people that know how to do a lot of stuff. There's a lot of shade tree mechanics running around all over the country. They don't mean they're gonna fix your transmission right. You
Fact.
know what I'm saying?
Well,
Yep.
yeah, but Hanu though, check this out, right? A1. If we had every business, every institution, we owned everything there is to own, every business from the utilities down, we owned everything, right? Every business that is doing business with the government, we own it. Every business, right? Every national business, every international business that's doing business outside the country. So that means that every dollar that's being made in America comes through our hands first. It ain't even know it's not even an economic system that it can even go into anybody else's hands. It's only in our hands. They only purchase from us, right? And it only work for us. Do you see the irony of that is that we are exactly on the opposite side of that in reality? And even just I can just think it in my head, but that's how it was in the past, right? So if we understand where we were, it's everything. Language is economics.
Well, are we ready for the white violence that comes from that? Because that comes with a lot of violence.
The beautiful part about us though, right? It don't take a whole bunch of us to just be together and have power.
Unity, yeah, but if we had that power, that's why he's empowered by violence.
Of us, right? You know how they be like the 300 to go and kill thousands of motherfuckers. Well, we are the actual 300, not the gay ones, but the ones that
they had a culture. They was throwing babies that wasn't worthy away. That was a culture. You know what I'm saying? Like their culture was so set in stone that to be a warrior was to be everything. To not be a warrior was to be nothing. You know what I'm saying? And that's what it was, you know, but at the end of the day, that still came with violence. You know what I'm saying? Because when people see that you have that kind of power, especially our enemies, they don't respond with, well, let's try to get like them. They respond with guns, violence, rape, murder. I mean, that's their history. So even if we did have that, we'd probably be in street wars with white people every day.
I mean, they're not doing it to the Asians. Nope. They're not doing it to the Arabs. They're actually literally, bro, they're literally at war with
But think
Arabs.
About those two countries. Think about those cultures. They'll put a backpack on and blow up them all. So it's a little bit different to be fucking with a culture that is willing to die for what they believe in instead of dying for a change.
You know? Hear me out. I remember when something was going on in Iran and I was in LA and I was like, yo, like we was like, it was in LA, Long Beach, LA, whatever. It was like a whole community, a whole area that was all these Iranian people that were flying the screens. So the Iranian community is huge in LA, and they are fluent. Okay, think of the concept. Think of how this has to. Y'all get it? Y'all understand what I'm saying? So they have family members that are over there right now. So Trump say, yeah, man, fuck that, let's go to war. They shot this plane down, did this or whatever, right? That's going to affect their family members.
Mm-hmm. But a lot of those people over here from those countries are sick. A lot of those people over in this country because something happened over there where they had to come over here. They're going to be in some trouble.
Bro, they had boots on the ground in the Middle East since the 90s. So they've been in the Middle East killing these people. That has never stopped none of these Arabs from economically upgrading themselves above us. How does this happen in America and we can't do it? Explain it.
Interest loans.
They're not even a percent. They're not even a percent in America, bro. Asians or what it is, whatever the percentage of all the Asians, Arabs, put all them in the same box. They're not 10%.
You know a reason though. You know a reason. All right, the situation, the reason why I see that they allow a lot of these people from the other countries to come here because they already know that these people is going to comply with everything that they say because they don't have the baggage that we have or the situations that we've been through. The reason why they keep us down is because they have some type of, they never want us to regain what we had. They figure as though if we get our wealth back up, if we get our own cities and our own communities and everything back up, then we can create wealth and then we pretty much can take back our shit. So it's an undermining thing even to that because they're going to only keep there. And then what they do is they put certain people within your organizations, man. You'll start up an organization, and then they'll come. It'll be a brother who we think is cool, but he a fucking agent. He like my man. What's the nigga name? That they be interviewing, that one that set up Fred Hampton. Can't think of that nigga name, man. Ah, the nigga, what the fuck is his name, man? I can't think of his name. It's two of them. It's two of them that
Yeah, he
always
just
be.
came out with a book a couple months ago or whatever, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
I can't remember his name either.
them type of niggas, right? They put one of them in your organization. They listen. The fact of the matter is, they'll let a person look just like you that's not from here come up, but they won't let us come. And like I said, they will let you come up. You can't don't get it wrong. You can get a store, you can get certain things, but you ain't gonna pass through them certain doors unless you part and pro-sell to their activities. And these niggas out here, that's part of their activities, is not. They will be the main ones that try to take you down just so they can stay in the position they in. That's why they give you an Al Sharpton. That's why they give you all these niggas. They give you they give you people with dual roles. They give you somebody. They give you somebody who you think will be talking what you talking truth to power, but he only gonna go but so far with it.
But I think that also has to do with because of our innate culture and how even I just go back to the music. We run the world with a lot of our power as us. That like you always say, I think this land was first. I think we were most powerful, and I think that when we're right, the rest of the world follows our steps. So we're more dangerous than any other black person or so-called black person in any other country.
That's
Because
right.
once we say we're moving this way, the rest of the world begins to move that way. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like they have to keep us down because once we come up, then Africa begins to act funny. Then India begins to act funny. Then China begins to act funny because they say, hey, they don't woke up. Because once we wake up, then the rest of the world will begin to look at us again as who we once were. And they will come to us for guidance instead of coming to them. Because right now, that's what America is, right? Everybody looks to them like we're this country and this is how it should be run. But really, they're only doing that because y'all have the most powerful people to do it up under you. So y'all must know something. Because once we get our power back, then the rest of the whole planet will follow our lockstep. You know what I'm saying? But they can't. Why
Right.
would they let that happen? That would be nuts. That would be like starting a revolution over 600 countries overnight. You know what I'm saying? Because we can do that with our music. You know what I'm saying? When Fight the Power was out, you know that's a lot of reason why those groups was getting banned back then from the radio and shit because white kids was walking around in them Chuck D shirts and shit, and they like, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? Like,
And
no,
they
my son ain't
changed it.
gonna be in here forget Whitey. Like, no, you're not gonna be saying that. Like on that movie CB4 with a white kid dancing around in the governor's house. You know what I'm saying? Like, and he's sitting there like, my son listening to this shit? Oh hell no. You know what
But
I'm
it's just
saying?
like
Like,
anything else, though, bro. They still was distributed to their own people, just like rock and roll, just like everything else. They just ran a different thing through disco. You know what I'm saying? So at some point, we got to get out of their distribution network. So I see all these
and
millionaire
that
niggas with all this technology out here, and they haven't figured it out yet. You traveling all around the world. You mean to tell me you can't go to India or China or any of these places, Africa, and set up any deals with these people over there? But it's not real. Like
it's
y'all,
not.
it's
It can't happen that way because just because they got that money, you don't realize what happens when you have money and you get off a private jet and the assistant director of the CIA is standing there with 60 FBI officers and he says, "Come to this back room so I can talk to you." That oil deal you finna make, you're not gonna let that happen. Shell's gonna take that deal. We'll give you a percentage of it. You gonna do this the easy way or the hard way? What's your choice?
Mm-hmm. Like, I'm gonna take your. I'm gonna take that right there. I'm gonna take. Yeah, I'm gonna take your boy. He be like, can I at least
Yeah.
bring my? Can I at least bring my family with me? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, well, we'll think about that. They're gonna have to be held for 48 hours until we figure out what you're gonna do. But you're gonna go in that room right there and tell them no, and she shell representatives gonna come in here and broker the deal. So
Yeah,
go ahead and head in there.
yeah.
And you don't see that on TV. You don't see that being reported. That this is what happens to some of these guys. They be well intentioned, and then they go to these countries. I'm gonna do something big, and next thing you know, you getting pulled over by some secret police in Zambia, and they taking you to an office, and it's a white man sitting there with a clipboard with your whole family's name, all where they live at, and everything, pictures of your children's school. And they say, well, we really don't want nothing to happen to them because I mean, a bus could hit them or anything. So this is what we're gonna do. You know what I'm saying? and then you got a decision to make. And you know how many brothers done made the decision to say no, and you don't hear about their deaths. They die over there from a sickness of malaria. You know what I'm saying?
Yup, and
Or
never
they
come back.
accidentally
You're right.
getting,
Yeah,
yeah,
or Ebola or the Zika virus or some shit.
or
Hmm.
they get hit, or they get hit. How many times you hear people getting hit in Dominican, or a car wreck, or you know what I'm saying? All this weird shit. You know what
Or
I'm
they could
saying?
do
And they
anything, bro. It's
Or
so many.
kidnapped and held for ransom. Point is, you ain't got no authority there,
Nope.
right? But they come here and they have authority over you in your own land. That's the
and that's
point.
why we have to take authority over our own land, and we can't worry about international right now because internationally we don't have a force big enough to go out there and protect our brothers who would make those moves. We don't have a group of guys that'll take two flights out 2 weeks in advance and clear the way for them to roam through the streets like the CIA do when George Bush go down there. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So
Hmm.
when if we had that, then you could say, yeah, make those moves. But you ain't never got pulled over on your jet or coming off a Southwest flight and the FBI pull you to the side and say, come to this room, and the CIA man sitting there and telling you this is how it's gonna go down. You know, and the thing is, we don't know the history of the ones that did say, man, forget you. I'm going for mine because you don't hear about that. You just hear, oh, poor Jimmy, he died from a sickness down there in Brazil, or he got in a car wreck in the Dominican, or whatever, whatever. And we just look at it like, man, that's messed up. He just got in a car accident. Man, they set this kind of stuff up to stop us because they know once we move in lockstep, the rest of the other people, the world's looking at us. They're not looking at nobody else. There's no culture like
That's a
ours.
fact.
There's there's no culture that's so magnetic and magnanimous like ours that once our swag, the way we present ourselves, the way we talk, the way the charisma that our people have is not seen over the planet, and people in other cultures love it. You know what I'm saying? That's why when you see guys do getting corporate offices, they usually ascend up to almost the highest point faster most of the time, and then they'll give them a stopping point, but they usually broker all the deals. The white boy send him first. Hey, yeah, you go over there and handle that deal because they know they love us. Oh yeah, I like being around him. He's so cool. Ooh, I'm gonna make the deal, but he can't work for himself and do that because once he steps outside that line, there's gonna be somebody waiting for him to be like, hold up now. You're getting too big for your britches. We're gonna have to talk to you about that. You know what I'm saying?
That's why we gotta learn how to just reevaluate what we got going on. You know what I'm saying? And have a clear understanding of what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, I want
Not
to speak to the chat room again. I think I seen Sister Betty Love in there. Hey, y'all, tune in tonight. The show has been pushed back. The Sister Betty Love show has been pushed back to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Trace Your Genealogy, episode 4. So be on the lookout for that. Shout out to Sister Betty Love. Hey, we got Black Indian Shrimp in the building. Henry Copeland. Peace to the guys, man. We got original intellect in the building. He said the name slave is just a concept. It's all employment for employees. Absolutely fact. And niggas was doing employees anyway because they didn't have no minimum wages, nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like no work hours. So them little children that they had in the factories and shit on the East Coast or whatever, or working in the field, they they was enslaved. They didn't have nowhere to go. They were orphans and shit like that or whatever. Like you understand what I'm saying? But when these people came here as orphans, a lot of them came up as children. They were getting rid of orphans and shit over there, sending them over here, and then just like us, we take people in. We'll here, come on, let's hold them, let's help them, let's do all these other things. But not understanding, just like anything else, you adopt somebody's child, you getting the baggage of what they bring into to you. You know what I'm saying? And most of it was on purpose. Disease, whatever, you know what I'm saying? Concepts, everything. So once you start bringing people into your saying, say, okay, I'm gonna teach you this and teach you this, whatever, and they know certain things. Now it's like people's like, yo, man, we taking over, we taking certain little spots over, or niggas were like, yo, we giving you this. Here's your land. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't even no thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, we peaceful people. Some tribes are more peaceful than others. Some tribes, okay, well, you can marry this person, or you marry you, or you know what I'm saying? Like, you can't tell people who they want, what they gonna do when they come to port, or what they not gonna do. You know what I mean? So I was like, all these
I think we were semi
anti-miscegenation laws
peaceful.
and shit. I've never seen one. I'm shout out to Dr. Jacqueline Bellator, but Like just because you write a book, I'm not about to read your book and be like, oh yeah, right? Like not go look at any references or try to find these goddamn laws. Well, guess what? The courthouse got burned down, so they don't have these goddamn laws. So wait a minute. So if you don't have the laws, so why are we still talking about anti-miscegenation laws in Virginia? Act like they had something to do with New York. Like you can tell somebody who the fuck. Like it's just the dumbest shit ever. And we keep pushing. Oh, they had laughing barrels all everywhere. Everybody, you had to laugh. You had to laugh in the barrel, nigga. Like what type of coward ass motherfucker to do that? Show
Have
me.
you
Show
ever
me a
heard of
laughing
like the
barrel. Can
pig
y'all pull one
laws?
up?
Have you ever heard of the pig laws the pig laws in the South? You know, the ones that were created after slavery to get people in the prison exchange program.
Oh, you said the penance, the penal, like yeah, getting niggas
Is that
caught
the
up for
penal? Well,
whatever.
down here sometimes they call them the black codes or the pig laws. My uncle and them used to call them the pig laws. Basically, where they said if you steal a pig, you get like 25 years. They amped up all the laws or vagrancy laws where if you walking around and the night went, they'll
Uh-huh.
just grab you up and take you to a coal mine. You know what I'm saying? That's why I tell
Slavery.
people sometimes that we're only one generation out of slavery. Our grandparents had to deal with like, and our parents. My mom still know about eating out the back of the out of stores and stuff when
Right.
they was little. You know what I'm saying? They still used to chop cotton. I bring this up in every show. I was one of the last few to know about chopping cotton and grabbing snakes. You know what I'm saying? Down here. So, because I was a snake boy, you know what I'm saying? When they in the field and they see a green snake, we go out there with a bag, grab them, put them in the bag while they chopping, you know what I'm saying, the weeds off the cotton. And so you think about it, that's like one generation out. You know what I'm saying? Like we're not even really out of it because that they were getting paid quarters. They was getting paid $1 a day to do some of that shit, you know.
Uh,
But
yeah,
even though
man.
in them times
It's,
gas was 10 cents and all that, but it doesn't matter. Like you know,
hey, shout out to Miss Sylvia Williams in the building. Peace, Empress. I see Miss Legit Part Two in the building. So, and this is right up our alley. When whenever anybody talk about slavery, um, so Renee, I respect your stance and everything, right? But we understand that only a small percentage of people are in any form of servitude, whether it's apprenticeship, whether it's employment, whether it's legal situations or whatever, like if you got caught stealing a pig or something, whatever, right? Whatever the situation is, it was only a small amount of us in that because we own the wealth of the land system. So if anybody can trace themselves back and show documentation of somebody owning your family members, not a story, because a lot of times we'll think that Mr. Brown is or Mr. Johnson is the white man because you know what I'm saying? Because you don't know your great 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 right? These Europeans wasn't here. Somebody just told you that, right? You just hear stories, but you guys have still never emailed me chiefholiday@gmail.com. Slavery. I'm a researcher, a real one. And I've been researching before the internet. So when niggas be saying certain shit, and I got experience, right? And I've been around the Black Power Rangers. Like I said, I was number one Black Power Ranger. So when you niggas be saying certain shit, I'm like, well, you was like number 12 million Black Power Ranger, nigga. The fuck is you talk about? You been in for all this time and you still ain't moved up yet. Y'all understand my point? So when y'all saying
yeah.
Black Power, just move the words out the way. Let's just talk about power, right? What does power look like? It looks like social, right? Social propaganda and having a anti-propaganda campaign to go against the propaganda that these European immigrants have successfully got into the school systems. Like that has to be talked about more.
Yeah.
If you are educating people to only go work for corporations that and only build them up even more, right, for the next 50 years, 100 years, whatever, it's only pushing us in further into slavery. So these schools are just school to plantation pipelines. You know what I'm saying? And
But
I,
that's
and
why
I
I was
remember
going
professors
back to
telling me that
culture.
shit. It was just keeping a certain amount of us out of the workforce for 4 or 5 years. You know what I'm saying?
But some people
And
ain't
then you
meant
get
to
into
be
a racket.
bosses. Some people ain't meant to be on the level of thought that we have maybe on this panel. Some people are meant to have a job. The problem is that we, as the higher, what I call the elites or the thinkers, have not put a system in place to where it can leave that school and come to us. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying? Instead of going
Yep.
to the corporation, we've led them. And again, and this is one thing that I give about the elders. They did this stuff. our grandparents kind of set us up for this, thinking it was better for us. But at the end of the day, it really hurt us because if they would have knew that it would have led us into slavery again, I don't think they would have done it. They would have just kept and said, no, we don't want to integrate. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
right.
Because it would have gave them an opportunity to go to college and come back to the neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? Come back to where you from and get a job here or work that job here, and we'll support you. Because before
That's right.
integration, we supported black business vehemently because that's all we had. This might have been one of the best things we did, but we didn't have the foresight to see this could pay off in 100 years. You know what I'm saying?
But not only that, so
Having
we
Mr.
already had the businesses, right? So like they act like they were always there and competing against us. That's the narrative that they paint. Like, oh well, we let you guys integrate into a better situation. Nah, motherfucker, y'all didn't even have it. You didn't even have it. The whole concept is you wasn't here in the 1700s. You just got
and
here at
that's
the
why
end
I
of the
go back to
1800s.
your
Fuck
your
that.
concept of
Like
power. Power
we
can
not
be
about to
our
keep going
bodies.
back and forth with y'all. So I
Like
know y'all
imagine if
love
all of us
slavery.
just stopped. Okay, go
What
ahead.
you say, brother?
I said, just
Yeah.
imagine you talk about power. I said, imagine if all of us just and there's this guy named Ayo that says, imagine for a month that we all just stopped doing certain things. We stopped listening to music. We stopped making music for them. Just for like a 3-4 month period. I guarantee you this thing would go nuts. You know what I'm saying? If there was nothing produced by us for 3 to 4 months, whether it was music, whether it was style, we just went dark. All of us just went dark for 3 to 4 months. They couldn't control this shit. They whole shit would fall apart overnight because they
Well,
wouldn't know what to
I mean,
do.
I'm saying
You
though,
know what I'm saying?
even within that month though, let's just say niggas ain't even doing that, but just like you just dedicate, you know, 25% of your energy into building something for your people, independence, right? So we see a lot of these guys that are millionaires. They millionaires, but they still not independent. They still just employers, or employees rather. They're not, some of them are, bringing they other people, bringing people up or whatever, to put themselves in a position to be bosses. You know what I'm saying? And I salute that. So I understand that grind and understand having to put, get a good foundation together. But we gotta think bigger. If we think that going to these so-called black banks is the answer, it's not. That means you haven't done any real research. A, a, it's a white bank with black people working in it. It's the same system. We're talking IMF and World Banks and stuff like that or whatever, and all these different people who are literally taking our investments, our monies and whatever, and investing it outside our community and then benefiting other communities. That's just what it is. That's what the churches are all set up on, and everybody else or whatever, all set up on the same system. So when every state or every so-called black community is putting money every Monday from the people from the church, they're gentrifying. You're funding the banks and things that are gentrifying the community. So the banks the churches are part of this system. These people are all a part of the system. It is what it is, y'all. I'm telling y'all, it's crazy. Through word, I sent you a link, man. We got Kyle in the building, Duran 134, 80s baby. Who else we got in the building? I seen something interesting. Original Intellect said about we had all the plantations, so they had to learn from us and work for us. That's a fact, as slaves, right? And so that reminds me of the Jack Daniels story, right? The CBS tried to pull the wool over eyes, right? So they put the story out, right? Put the article out or whatever. They said, oh well, yeah, Jack Daniels learned how to make whiskey from a slave, right? That's the headline,
Mm. Yeah, that was
right?
the
I'm like,
headline.
wait a minute. So you start listening to it, right? You're listening
But the
to,
dude was running the
you
whole
listen.
plan.
Not only that he was the master, Jack Daniels was the apprentice, and they also said that Jack Daniels, in the same article, I'm reading the article, right, or listening to, I forgot what it, I did both, read the article, I think I seen the video on it as well, right? So they're talking about, oh, well, Jack Daniels didn't own slaves, and oh, well, Mr. Green, the guy's name was Mr. Green, right? He didn't own, he wasn't a slave. So I'm like, well, wait a minute, the headlines just said Jack Daniels was taught how to make whiskey from a slave, right? So you instantly went to that he wasn't a slave owner, he wasn't a slave. So the relationship was he was the apprentice, he was the master, right? So it kind of goes along with what you're saying right there, original intellect.
So if you follow that time,
It's
you can put the
crazy.
story together. So basically, what happened is this black dude had a plant, and he had this white boy, though probably a poor white, what they call a redneck back in the day, working for him. And at that time, black people just couldn't get nothing patent. So the white boy probably earned his trust, and he said, "Well, why don't you get this patent for me, and then we'll make a contract that probably end up disappearing." The white boy went and got the contract, but then some other outside friend said, "Hey, you ain't got to fool with that." You know, that's when whites really come. That's what they call mud blood. You know, half Indian mulatto whites still run, or ones from over in Europe, the poor whites from Europe. And they say, well, shit, you done already gave it to you. You ain't got to do nothing. And he pushed them out of the way after he learned enough of the secrets to do what he had to do. I mean, if you think about that time, that's the only reason it went down like that. They had laws where niggas couldn't go in there and patent shit. Shit, if you black, you couldn't do nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like, shit, you want to patent a song? No. That's why back in the day, these boys and all them, or you see them old movies, they said that Little Richard and them had to have white boys making their damn songs with their pictures on. You know what I'm saying? So we didn't have the rights that were supposed to be afforded to us to actually make the money off of it. So that's the only thing I can think of why he would have this patent to Jack Daniels to this day. If that nigga was really trying to make a boss move, but you know they slick. He set up under him, and the white boy groomed them, and oh yeah, I'm gonna hold you down. And when it really came down, he might have held down to a certain point. But when a black person, when he ain't in charge of his bookkeeping and stuff, he don't know he making $30 million, but he only giving him 100,000. Back then, he looking at that 100,000 like I'm winning. You know what I'm saying? But the whole time, the white boy is pulling his strings like I got this. You know what I'm saying? And that happened to a lot of our people back in the day because they couldn't patent shit. They couldn't go to the patent office, or they couldn't go and say this is my physical property because they said you black, you don't have no rights to do that. That was a part of the program to get us. That's why a lot of things that are used today won't. Even though they got those books to tell you the inventions of black people, nobody questions like, well, why don't the families get any money from this? Because them dudes couldn't patent that shit. They had to go fool with them white boys to get it to where they could do that, and then the white boys just juked them in the end. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, bro, it's just too evident. It's been going on for too long. You know what I'm saying? And that's just the
Yeah, and it's
story.
going on
But
to this day. Yeah, but
yeah,
these niggas signed 360 deals, so you gonna sign your soul away, then go ahead. They done set up a system where, like, that's why you think some of these people are millionaires, some of these people be in debt. Liquid
right.
asset and hard assets are two different things. And a lot of us are not financially literate. You understand? On paper, a dude can be a millionaire, but because it's all tied up in business, he could be living off $10,000 a month. You don't know because it's not all liquid asset. It's not all hard assets. It's not all hard money. They saying this company is valued at $1 million. So if he sold the whole company, he could have $1 million. But right now, no. He lives off a budget of $10,000 a month. But they'll go in your face and act like they doing the best. They driving a Bentley or a Benz or something that they paying for that they don't own. They don't got the blue paper for it. You know what I'm saying? Or lease. But to the common eye, you would think because the Forbes list say, "Oh, Jay-Z worth 60 much billion." He's not worth that much money. It's not liquid. It's just a liquid asset. It's because of his position, where he is. If he sells his whole catalog, yeah, maybe he worth $250 billion. If he sells him and Beyonce all they shit, they sell it to the white man. They get $1 billion. You know what I'm saying? But they not
Yeah,
gonna play your shit on the
I
radio
mean,
while you got it.
yeah, that don't mean shit. So yeah, they
Yeah,
understand that.
because like Prince had a bunch. Prince was supposed to have a bunch of money. Mike was supposed to have a bunch of money. When they died, what happened? They devalued
Uh,
the estate, and then the estate goes to $200,000. And then once the estate is sold, it jumps back up to $2 million.
Michael
You know
Jackson
what I'm
sold
saying?
his estate for like $700 million. I mean, that wasn't shit
well,
compared to what
yeah,
he had, compared to what he
But
really had.
that estate was 60% of fucking Sony. So even at 700 million, that estate keeps Sony alive. And
Mhm.
Sony's making movies for Spider-Man now, so you have to. That's $1 billion corporation. So his
Oh,
family was forced to get 700 million because they have these people who are called auditors that come from the government and say, "Oh well, this is only worth this much," knowing damn well it's worth more. You know what I'm saying? But
mhm.
instead of the family saying,
yeah,
"I'll bet on it," because at the end of the day, they still at the behest of the radio, and all of that stuff. If they're not gonna play as music, then it's really not worth it. Because that's the threat. We won't play as music. We'll start
stations. So Clear Channel, iHeart, and all these other things. Yeah, like we're gonna talk about the slavery today too, y'all. Like, and we're talking about it's the RIP to Pan Africanism. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna break this whole thing down.
But this all go for us full circle to all of that, because Pan Africanism is a symptom of a bigger problem. Pan Africanism is just a distraction. At the end of the day, it's just something to keep our minds looking over here, and that's why I try to tell y'all stop. You know, I know y'all go debate these dudes, but listen, y'all, I've heard y'all come with sound fucking logic. They ignore you. Every time y'all come with sound logic and evidence, they try to knock it down. And like the other night, they want to laugh at him. Those are pictures. Like, well, what else is he gonna have? There wasn't no cameras. But I bet you if you get their evidence, it's all pictures. So they'll laugh at you for the same argument that you bring forth. And
for
then,
the
so what's the
same
point of even talking
information.
to these people?
Yup, for the same information though. But
And
that's
then,
why
I'm just gonna finish this. I've watched you do this where you bring the information and and it'd be the same information they got, but then they'll use wordplay to make it seem like you crazy and you ain't talking about the same thing. Like, dog, I'm reading it right here, but you want to twist something that's plain as day. You know what I'm saying? So you use words against me like that. It's the same information. And the thing is, I've seen you bring up basically the source. So you said an archaeologist is wrong. I've heard you say that to people at least 4 times. They will not talk about that. They'll move off of that and get to like some stuff in there that just, well, this sounds conflicting. Like, are you niggas lawyers? You know what I'm saying? Like, y'all playing legal games.
The fact that they don't want no smoke though is in the public. They'll play on the phone. They'll play, you know what I'm saying, a little bit here and there, whatever. They don't want y'all. I'm telling y'all, don't believe none of them. They have an open invitation to come to Las Vegas and get his ass whooped. How about
that's
that?
why you guys start calling them niggas agents for what they are, man. These niggas is agents. If you come up here disputing that we from here and you keep on saying we lying and you trying to get us to look towards African, you're an agent, man, from now on. All these niggas, man. I don't care who they are.
But they were actually agents when they were pushing it on Morehouse. Think about it. They was like, they were taking this information, right, to the college levels. They were funded by the CIA. Now you got guys that what we call master teachers now. Some of them are transition, but they were accusing each other of working for the CIA back in those days. Some of them were. Some of them literally. I remember Professor James Small saying this. Are y'all listening to me?
Yeah.
Yeah, he had us like, come on, y'all, like we got to talk about this. And I remember that the Panthers were working with the FBI, and someone was like, "Yo, bro, like, no." So that was a risk.
I remember Khalid Muhammad. I remember Khalid Muhammad saying that he got approached by them on many of occasions. That's why I like Khalid over all. Khalid was trying to be the great unifier. He would go to the Moors and he would say, forget all that, let's all be one. He would go to the Israelites, let's forget all that, let's all do it. He'd go to the Pan Africans, he said, forget all that, that's all they want. But at the end of the day, he knew who he was because he was from Houston. So Khalid used to know his history, and he always used to stomp that Aboriginal shit. But people would not listen to those points. So he used all their points against them to say, what's your reason for not doing it with them just because of a religious moray? What's your reason of doing this because you have a view on something that's not even got nothing to do with nothing? You know what I'm saying? But you see how they got, but he's a big case study on how they got him up out of there. You get sick, he throw the hell up, and all of a sudden he dead.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
But then look, his son was in a picture with Bill Clinton. So
but who did that? Him or the mama? And that's the point. That proves that the mama was in with some beef. Yep. And that's another thing. We got to watch. A lot of people don't understand the CIA just don't work with men. The biggest agents in the CIA or what you call a covert op agency is women. They gonna stick women on us. We have to be stronger in the flesh to sometimes stick with. Man, a lot of these dudes, you got a woman right now. We all got a woman that had our back right here while we at the bottom. Then we get up in some esteem, and old sexy mama come around, and then we want to forget her. because she bad. But we don't even know she been sent from the CIA from Jamaica. She don't talk like it. You know what I'm saying? But she done sent her to go ahead, and when you get out of line too far, she gonna go ahead and slide that in your food. And you gonna wonder why you on that deathbed, damn, she didn't eat that spaghetti, but you can't say nothing because you can't even talk. You know what I'm saying?
They are
They'll
all types
Muhammad
of
Ali
agents.
your ass in a second. And
Yup,
mostly
Muhammad.
women. Especially in our community, it's mostly women.
Yup.
You know how many times it's easy to turn a stripper with money. That's how you see Omar got. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying he was the best dude in the world, but who was it? It was a chick running around at a conscious facility that was a stripper. That should
Yup.
let you know. Somebody sent her. You know what I'm
Yup.
saying? Somebody with some real money gave her some bread and say, go get that nigga. He weak in the flesh. You know what I'm saying? He gonna see your assets and he gonna roll with that. We gotta be better than that. We gotta roll with the ones that roll with us from the top. And if it ain't nothing there, then just be by your damn self. Shit. Sometimes when you a warrior for the truth, you can't be worried about no female. Sometimes you gotta make sacrifices that you don't want to make. You know what I'm saying? And if having sex one of them, and that's so big, you gotta be a real warrior for what you stand on. You can't just want to do this shit. And that's why some of these dudes do this shit for different motives. And that's why they get caught up with these females and shit like that and these scandals. You know what I'm saying? Or go like Brother Polite and say, money my God. You know what I'm saying? Because once he got that bread, he said, fucking hell with y'all
He
niggas.
was never one of us to begin with, though. That's the
Of course.
see, but that's the Pan-African. That's Sarnetta in them, because we never question, because under Pan-Africanism we look at every black person as being the same as us when they not. A lot of these black people that come to this country are agents, man. And they agents even the worst way, because you think they look like you, and then you under the mind control that you are African, and then these motherfuckers come here and then they pull the shit right up under your eyes and you don't even see it. And they've been doing this shit from day one, man.
And that's why I will give y'all some more, like, think about what the war is on immigration. It's not on the Asian, it's not on the African, it's not on anything. You know why it's on the Mexican? Because the Mexican agents can't be controlled. Because there's more Mexicans coming from down there that ain't fucking agents. You know what I'm saying? And they can't control that. These other countries, they got full control who get on that plane. Y'all don't know what it takes to become an immigrant to get on a fucking plane. You got to get approved for that shit. You just can't get on a plane and fly from Africa here. Somebody got to vouch for you. You better have a place to stay. You know, the immigration office got to be involved. So a lot of these people, whether Indians, East Asians, whatever you want to call them, that y'all see at the Quickie Mart or whatever they call them in your city, where they selling all the pork and all the bullshit, those people are snitches in their own country. They have to leave. And some of them leave their country in duress. Some of them people leave their country like, you better not ever come back here. We chop your damn throat off. So when you were talking about people from Iran being here, I used to have a teacher when I went to college. I used to play soccer. There was this female who used to teach us soccer, be like a trainer. And she would never talk a lot about it, but I got her one time to talk about it. She was over here because her family was in some of her families in the UK. They was working for the anti-government, and the government found out. And they had to be expedited out by the CIA to come over here and do that. So a lot of these people was working against those governments. Like you see, they said they always say in some other government, they had anti-government rallies. Some of them people that you be over here buying your fucking beer from at the Quickie Mart be anti-government rally motherfuckers.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And the government said, okay, enough of that. And then they got to get the hell up out of there. They get extradited out. It's called, you know what I'm saying? The CIA has a name for it. But they basically give them a job here, and they give them low interest loans. They give them land. They get everything over us, because that's even on the bigger plot.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them don't even know why they doing it. They just so happy to be over here and not living in a hut no more that they'll do whatever they say.
No.
If they say, even if they said, Master, the niggas don't like us selling this pork, and they begin so mad because of the prices and shit, shut up and just do what the hell I told you to do. You're going to get your money. They ain't got nowhere else to go. You know what I'm saying? And they do it. And then some of them, I tell y'all got to start talking to these Indian people in these stores. It's always the young ones. If you really get to talking to them and befriend them, they'll start telling you some shit, how they live in these houses, where it's about 1,000 of them living in that motherfucker and they can't move, how they be basically slaves over here. Shit, a lot of these Indian motherfuckers from Laos and all this Cambodia, they need to be over here slaves like a motherfucker. They have to work at that motherfucker sun up to sundown, and they ain't get paid shit. You know what I'm saying? And we think that they really against us. Some of them just slaves. Hey, you don't do this, you know your mama's still over there in India. They can chop her head off. You know.
Mm-hmm. It's
But
an
yeah,
all.
Yeah, so I guess that would, but man, I don't know,
but
man.
that go back to Pan Africanism, and like I say, everything go full circle. These Africans that's pushing that is pushing that for the same agenda. They pushing us to try. You know why they trying to get us the hell out of here? Because as soon as we say we cool with that, I bet you that I guarantee you, if we all in one day said we cool with Pan African, let's say all our people said we cool with Pan African, nigga, them Navy ships will be on them coasts. Then get your ass back to Africa, and we don't got no people there. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
They'll line up the whole Navy on that Atlantic Ocean, get them on out of here. You know what I'm saying? And we'll be looking like, why that happen so fast? Don't matter. Go on and get. You can go back where you so-called come from, and then get over there, and then people hate the shit out of us.
Yep. And people start hacking you up like they hack their own people up.
Yeah, yeah, eating us and shit. You don't know what them people got rituals over there.
Yep. It's
Shit, hunting us is like hunting a lion. Nigga, we the strongest motherfucker in the goddamn planet. You think that they wouldn't hunt us for sport? You crazy as hell. Yeah.
Yep. They hunting us for sport now, but when we go over there, they definitely gonna be hunting us for sport.
They'll set us all up on the thing, let us get strong and all that, and then they'll just call it a game. Nigga,
Mm-hmm.
every year they come in our goddamn communities and burn them motherfuckers down in Africa. Man, them people, man, listen, you gotta understand African culture. African culture is so wicked, and like they have these customs that are crazy, bro. I mean, those people over there that's in Africa now. Now there's different sects, but the sects that are not with that shit are called terrorists. You know what I'm saying? So you're not gonna go over there and get with no terrorists. You're gonna go get with a colonized group of people. There's a caste system. I've talked to him about that before, where your kids are sent to school in Europe to come over there to be rulers. You know what I'm saying? And this caste system, you can't marry outside that caste system. There's certain stuff that's going to Africa that we could never fathom. That once until we got over there, we could understand we would be the lowest class, and there would be so hard for us to get out of that low class that it would be damn near impossible. We would die before we got out that low class, and the people that would be left with us would be converted into coons. You know what I'm saying? In so
Mm-hmm.
many words, even with our own black people, it would be because they would be over there considered coons. But by that time, shit, they'd have been done demolished us.
Mm-hmm. Just
A
like
good
over here.
argument, yeah, good argument still Pan Africanism. If we were brought over here from Africa and we were part of a tribe, why isn't there a record of those tribes disappearing?
Mm-hmm.
Because the Africans have a strong oral history. So we were so called. Let's say I call us the Doodle tribe. Then why ain't the what they call the Ashanti have a record of the Doodle tribe disappearing? Which they have a record of everything back to all this time, but they don't got a record of all these so-called African tribes disappearing because they were shipped over here on slavery.
Yep.
But magically, that they were just, unless they were just selling their own people, which a lot of them claim, but they don't even have a record of that. Old Emperor so and so of the Ashanti tribe decided that 100,000 blacks have to be shipped off with the white man. They don't got no record of that shit. That's why I say we're Pan African, stop arguing with these people. These people is not here for our benefit, and they'll never understand y'all logic because y'all bring hard logic, and I salute y'all for that. But when you bring the fact to somebody that 1 + 1 is 1, and they look at you like, nah, it's 5, and no matter what you can say, you can put two sticks here, put them together and say count, and the nigga still be like, it don't matter cause it's still 5. Then what the hell you talking to them people for? What can you tell them?
Yo, y'all hear me?
Nonetheless, peace, bro. How you doing?
Yo, peace, Chief. What's up, Try? What's up, Anu? L?
Word.
Here's in the belt, you know what I mean? Piece of the chat. You know what I'm saying? Had to come on real quick. You know, holler
Peace,
at y'all.
peace, nonetheless.
Here in a minute. What's up, bro? You know what I'm saying?
Uh,
We having this a little good discussion about everything, you know, but the main thing that I've been on is it took me once you get into like everything that happened, even from this land in America over to Europe down, and which is North Africa and the southern part of Africa. It takes a while to really understand what they did, but it everything ends and begins with how they judged us. You know what I'm saying? When they brought over their legal system over here, that threw us off. You know what I'm saying? So when you talk about slavery, you're talking about a system. You know what I mean? You're not talking about just something that's simple. It's not that simple. It's not that cut and dry to say, okay, well, we was in slavery, you know what I'm saying, and we was subject to another human being or a lesser person over this land. It was a system. It was this was orchestrated. You know what I'm saying? And his whole is much more complicated than just saying that somebody had us as servants. You know what I'm saying? They came in and threw a monkey wrench into our whole system, which was a natural system when we went into tribal. Once we went into a tribal system, that system was lesser than the national system that we was under. So it took 100 years for us to break all the way down into tribes because we was a nation at one point. You know what I'm saying? We was all connected. Everything was connected. Once you really start doing the research and you start seeing this is not nothing that somebody can just say, oh well, give me a resource, let me look at that. No, you got to know the history and look and see the timelines and see what happened, and you got to understand that in Europe, and you start seeing this adopted in Africa as well with these wigs. You start seeing these judges, and even in Africa, they still had these wigs when you go to court. You talking about niggas with wigs on and shit when they judging you in these courts. Now what they doing is they're putting you into a creditor debtor situation. Whereas though if you do a crime back then, right? If you do a crime, you could pay to get yourself. You had to pay a certain amount of money. You know what I'm saying? Like if you stole something, even if you murdered somebody, you had to pay that family to get out of debt with them. You understand? So now what happens is, especially when you start studying the law merchant, when you study the law merchant, when you talking about admiralty and maritime law, because when you talk about a commercial system, you're talking about you talking about debtors and creditor. So that debtor and creditor system is an ancient system. So so now if you can't pay, you don't have anything to offer. Now they're you're pledging their or the courts are going to pledge your labor as the payment. You see what I'm saying? So now, in order to pay off your debt, you now have to work your debt off by to somebody. Now, now it gets more complicated because now the person that owns your debt can now sell your debt. You see what I'm saying? But at the same time, with all the wars that we have, you have the Indian Wars. You had several wars that was going on for like 300-400 years. Even when the Mongoloid invasion from the 1300s to 12 to 1300s, you had these wars. So now you got our people not understanding that, yo, look, you can't pledge your labor as payment for a debt. This is your land. You're free. You see what I'm saying? So, but people didn't understand the concept of being free. This is where this is where people don't understand when you talk about the New Testament, and that's what really talking about. It's really talking about debtors and creditors. There it's saying that look, you're not subject to no man under anybody's debt. You're not in debt to anybody. But if you look at the grand scheme of things, what's getting us in more and more trouble right now, and it's getting worse, is because we're thinking that we're in debt. So now you have these bankers over in London. You had the Lords of London who set up these central banks. They provoke wars. Their whole culture is built around wars. You see what I'm saying? These Europeans' culture, when you think about what their culture is. Their culture is wars. They're warmongers. Because the wars is what really finances them. People, when you understand the whole concept of wars is no laws. You're under occupational a government. those laws, which was set up by the Lieber Codes, is what Lincoln set forth when Congress went into a recession, and it's still in a recession because he was murdered, and we never regained the Congress. So now we under Lieber Codes, which puts you under executive orders. But those the if you ever look back in history, the Civil War was where we really got screwed at, because after the Civil War, you start seeing all these acts, the Organic Act. So now you're talking about commerce, which is Congress. So now, instead of us being the creditors, they got us as a debtor. Why? Because we're using their terms and their language to define us, which puts us under a corporate status, which we're not supposed to be under corporate status. We're supposed to be under the common, under the real laws, the laws of the land. See, the laws of the land is us, because we are the land. You see what I'm saying? That's why a lot of people come over here, because they're where they was in debt. When they come over here, they can work off their debts, which means that now their bodies their labor is now working off a debt, and they can send the money back home. You see what I'm saying? To pay off the debt, and then they can return back to their land. You understand? But why are we doing the same thing when this is our land? Why? Because we're under their system. We have all their paperwork. We have all of their, what you would call Social Security. We have all those things that they gave us to put us under their debt, instead of making a separation from saying, okay, we are these people, but we're doing business with you as being the government, that we put y'all people in place to do that. You understand? So now we adopted a culture which is a slave culture, which came from Europe, because they were slaves coming over here to be free. You see how the thing keep playing out again and again and again. The slaves from Europe came over here to be free, to work off a debt as indentured service. Then they created war with the same people, their own people over in Europe, got free. And now you have the bankers over here investing in the labor of the Europeans. Then the Lord Europeans flipped it on us and made us the debtors to their, they use our credit and our land to bond it for the payment, because we were the beneficiaries. And it's all held in trust for us, and they using all that money, which is unlimited, because your labor is unlimited. Think about it. They make a minimum wage for you, but there's no maximum wage. You see what I'm saying? Because you can't put a price on labor. So think about it. Your whole life, you never really got paid, because all you got was debt notes. So how you ever got paid? So now you got to claim that. You got to you have to work hard. This the whole thing about when people say, well, I need proof of this, I need proof of that. Bro, you got to study this for like at least 6 months to know the language of what they actually did, because you read something, it's saying something totally different than what you think. The definitions is totally different. You know what I'm
But do you
saying?
think that we can break corporate law? So you talking corporate law, which is the United States corporation and not the United States of
Yeah,
America.
no,
I understand what you're saying,
you
but
understand what I'm saying?
can you actually, and I went through that, but do you really think we can break that corporate law with, because we would have to give up our social security, we'd have to give up now
No.
that's you know
No. You don't have to look, bro. This the whole thing. Because a lot of people think that, because they're saying, they think that, okay, we're giving up that. No, I'm not. That's not totally. I'm glad you said that, because
but
it's
who wouldn't
not.
want to, because that's us being traded on the stock market, you know what I'm
No,
saying, like
bro. Understand this. Everything they did. Okay, let me break this down to you real quick. Okay, because I like to break things down simply, and it's more
yeah.
it's more
That's why
to
I
it.
asked, because
Right.
you saying a lot of stuff that I see
I
people in the chat saying, like, what is he talking about? And I'm like, it's corporate law. I mean,
right.
I know
I
it's
understand what you're saying. But listen. This is exactly what I'm saying. When they came over here, when the Europeans came over here, they of course, we all know, because we've been studying the whole history. We know the lies that they told. We know that we was already here. But how they flipped the story on us was this: their job was to convince us that we wasn't the people of the land. Once you do
Yeah.
that, now you can take like if you got $1 million in gold, right? And you looking around like, damn, where the owners at? The owners show up. You know what I'm saying? But the people that knew that was their money, you kill them, but their children don't know. But you still have to honor the fact that that's their original money. So now you're raising their children up to not know. So now you're holding the wealth, and now you're pledging it as a bond. So now people you giving people loans off of the descendants the descendants wealth. You see what I'm saying? This is how banking works. You don't want people to redeem their gold. You want them to you
go
want them to
into the
get
fiat
loans. Right.
currency.
You want them to get loans off of it. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, because
So
then they're in the system of the fiat currency, and then they
right,
can't. The gold has no power.
right. So now, in order to stay in honor, because remember, other nations know what you're doing, so they can easily inform the people. But you make deals with those other nations to say, look, as long as y'all keep your mouth shut, we gonna cut y'all into the deal. You see what I'm saying?
Let me give you some dope. You know who actually started that system? It was the Dragon movement. It was called tribute. We living
Right,
in the system of tribute. You know what I'm saying? So giving up
right.
your gold for a fiat country is really giving up your life for tribute. Your children are tributes through the same system. So that's why I say sometimes y'all don't forget that this was actually not started by a so-called white man. It's actually started by niggas. So-called
Mm-hmm.
niggas. You know.
Right, right. That's why people not going to understand it unless you understand. You got to understand body attack. They still doing the same thing today. This is what I'm trying to tell you. Look, a body attachment is a warrant. So if so if a court issues a body attachment, which is a warrant, that's nothing but an attachment to another person to tell the marshal or the sheriff to go get you to bring you back to court, and now you're serving time for a debt. You see what I'm saying?
And that's actually an Aboriginal idea. I don't know if you know about Raccoon Tribe. Raccoon Tribe used to be the so-called police of America, who wear black
Right.
stripes over their eyes. And if anything went wrong, tribes would call on the raccoons, and they would go pick up so-called criminals, and they would bring them back like bounty hunters to see the trial,
Right.
to stand trial. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's called a body attachment, or a rent of attachment, or rent of for it's really credit and debtor. That's the bottom line to everything. Because once you go into debt, now they're reclassifying you. You see what I'm saying? Because a creditor is the king. Creditors don't lose. That means I'm lending you my labor. If I lend you my labor, then I'm the creditor for real. You see what I'm saying? Because my energy, my God-given energy, is helping you. You see what I'm saying? So now you for real, you owe me. This the whole thing about.
But the question is how do we get out of that level system that was started by, I would say, our grandparents or great grandparents.
That's the thing. That's the thing because they don't want you to do. They don't want you to know how to do it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because for
And
real,
I've seen a lot of people a lot of people on YouTube try to explain how to do it, but they really don't go into it.
they can't because they can't, bro. They can't. They get attacked, man. I'm telling you, bro. They get attacked.
Yeah.
Bro, this shit is serious. What I'm talking about. This ain't.
I know what you're talking about.
You know what I'm saying?
And I'm not denying because I went down that rabbit hole and I've seen that actually what you said is real.
You know.
But it's dangerous as hell.
It's
because
dangerous.
once you give up, because they can kidnap you, then they can do a lot of shit because then you give up your rights as so-called citizen of the operation, and then they can just be like,
But
some people that got away with it that's hiding, but
yeah, you got because
not no niggas talking about it.
Nope, because they this is the way they hiding that. Because look, when you look at the whole thing of our history, it went from the civil rights where they were sicking dogs and shit trying to bring it for real. It was reverse psychology because they like, oh, they had black this a black fountain, this a white fountain. You can't go to our schools with integration and shit, right?
To make us think that it was better.
Yeah, to think it was better to do reverse psychology shit on us. Back in the 60s, Then all of a
You know
sudden they
that's
went
that
into this.
Marvin. That's Marvin Singer and all them other motherfuckers using
Yeah,
psychology
the
and
sellouts.
to
And
weaponize that shit.
that's where the main problem is, because the sellouts is really holding us back. Because you get all these niggas coming here to this country, or you get all these motherfuckers that know the deal. They know the deal. They know that we being screwed. They don't want to teach us the system. They don't want to teach us the original science.
But how about this? Most of those Africans got Caucasian on their damn IDs.
Because they are. They
They
are.
got white on their ideas. They like most niggas don't know. Go ask your African friends what they let them show you their ID. They see trip.
Because they are. Look, bro, when you look at the real history, when you look at the Janissaries and the Mamelukes, those people was raised. A lot of these white tribes was raised to war. So if you was the black nobility, you went and raised up these white slaves to war for you. You see what I'm saying? And send them over here. You know what I mean? We had the same system, but that goes back to Argentina. So we were sending these white folks to war against each other. You know what I'm saying? Then they rose up. You know what I'm saying? But the law merchant and all that stuff comes from the trading between our nations around the world. And we was pledged, they would pledge their bodies as payment. This is why this is where the harems came from. Yeah, they started trading white women. You know what I'm saying? Because the black man was the only one that could get her pregnant. They couldn't get her pregnant at first. You know what I'm saying? So
and that's why I go back to we dealing with, we call, you know, somebody said earlier to stop blaming the white man. And I say that to a little bit because a lot of this science comes from us.
Yeah,
a lot of
from
science comes from our sellouts, what you would call our traders, going and actually giving them the power of the DNA and changing their DNA and a bunch of other shit. But they using our system against us.
Yes.
It's not like this ain't our system. This is our system. It's just they subverted it and you know, bastardized it and made it to where it's actually working against us now. But again, we are people of change. We can change that as long as we put our mind to it. It's all our legislation. You know what I'm saying? Everything that we deal with today is something that we already created. All we have to do is just like we do anything else, and just start learning how to move in it towards the best for us. But that comes with it. And like I said, that comes with war. Because once you start changing shit to where they can't get what they want to do, like they say food stamps, and everybody think that's a black issue. No, man, most of these white people, West Virginia is the most food stamp written motherfucking place in America, and it's mostly white people. A lot of this system is set up to help them, but when it come to us, they won't give us those rights. You know what I'm saying? But we can reuse them. We just have to change these civil rights bills and update them. Because white women, Africans, it's different people that's using our supposed to be God-given rights. So they benefit and they not giving it to us.
Right. Yeah, because your rights is your property. That's property. If you know what the word property is, that's your rights. But when you give up your rights, you're now giving them wealth. You see what I'm saying?
Dude said legal tender or because the legal tender is a totally different thing, and that's what we deal with. You can read your money.
Right.
Most people don't read. That's why I say money is a contract. So if you actually read on money, it's gonna tell you what the hell it is.
It's a promise. It's a promise to pay. Yeah, it's a promise to pay. It's a promise to pay. But us being free here, we was always free. So it wasn't. We didn't know the concept of being in debt. You see what I'm saying? That's why in our spirit, we gonna keep working and pay off our debts. But when you really go down the rabbit hole,
free.
Right.
It's just we have to change the civil rights. We got to get up under. We got to get off under some of these contracts that our grandparents and great grandparents bought into.
Well, we don't realize that the debt is fake. You know what I'm saying? We don't have.
I think most brothers understand, or I hope have understand the fiat currency at this day and age. I mean, that's even the white boys talking about that because some of these poor whites, they know that shit gonna come for them too. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of people in this country that's been here that they even these white boys starting to wake up and say, wait a minute, because they about to be in the same position of us when the next phase go in.
Because they they more for real. They starting to realize that they more enslaved than we are. Because look, a lot of them have to be citizens. They have to be, or because look, if we say we not citizens, where they gonna send us? They can't send us nowhere.
No, except for prison. They send it to the box. that's
Well,
that's what most
that's
niggas going today.
but yeah, that's where the body attachments come from. This is where the law merchant they're still using it. They still using the same exact system. Ain't nothing changed except for the wording and the definitions. That's what they changed up. But the slavery, all this other shit, far as pledging your labor and the payment, all that shit is still in play. It's just more sophisticated now.
Yeah.
It's more
I don't even
sophisticated.
I don't even think it's more sophisticated. I think they simplified a lot of stuff, but the sophistication comes from the simplification of a sophisticated system. I know that sounds crazy to say, but if we actually break it down, like if you can break that down, you understand it's really not that explicit. It's just there's it's harder. They simplified it to where it's harder to find loopholes out of it. You know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
almost like instead of going A to Z, they don't bring it to A to F. But when you ain't got as many steps to get to Z, it's kind of harder to maneuver your way in and out of the rest of it. You know what I'm saying?
Right, right, right.
But there's nobody out here teaching how to get out of that. And then people that do,
It's
like you say,
nowhere.
they get
It's hard.
attacked.
Yeah. You can't, man, bro. You can't find the whole whatever they're doing. You're not going to really be able to find the true elements and the step by step of what's
I
going
mean,
on
you can,
anyway.
and I don't doubt that there's brothers out here who have, but when you start talking about it, you know
Yeah.
what I'm
They
saying?
go.
When you actually
You
start
gonna get,
putting the pieces
yeah.
together, your ass is in trouble.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Because we still at
you're
war.
alerting the public. Yeah, exactly,
That's another
bro.
thing. As
Thank
far as
you.
us Aboriginals, we have not signed treaties. A lot of people don't understand. That's why I was telling them about making our own tribe, because most people don't understand that if you take on some of these tribal names, you don't understand. Some of these people we ain't signed treaties. We still prisoners of war, and we still at war to this day. We haven't signed treaties with these people to tell them to get off our back. So shit, we under their system. We still at war. It ain't no stopping
Right.
this war unless we I guess you want to go make a deal. I don't know. But at the end of
Hmm.
the day, even if we took on even if we all looked it up, got our tribal resignation, you might go into a tribe that ain't signed no damn treaty, and you go start doing all that freedom shit, and they like, well, you a terrorist. And that's why I say
Yeah.
most black people don't understand that we are classified as terrorists. When you start
Yep.
going for your freedom, we are terrorists. That's what the what's that shit Bush signed in law, the Patriot Act was about. It didn't have nothing to do. All this shit's been set up to make sure that if them niggas get out of line, we're gonna call them terrorists. We're gonna call them insurgents. We're
Yep.
gonna call them this and that, because then we'll just lock them up and Guantanamo Bay. They got places for our ass now.
Hmm.
There was a time when they didn't have all that. Now they got a law that where if you're accused of a terrorist, they don't have to have a jury trial. They can just yam your ass up for indefinitely until they feel like dealing with you. You know what I'm
True.
saying? So that's something that a lot of this stuff is true, but it's like we have to figure out a way to maneuver out of being terrorists. You know what I'm saying? Because all
Yeah.
this shit right here is semi-terrorist talk. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
what I'm.
Because
Yep.
we talking about getting out of their system, getting out from under their thumb. And anytime you try to do that, you're a terrorist. It
Yeah.
ain't no other way around it. Shit,
Hmm.
you don't want to do this, you don't want to pay tribute, you're a terrorist. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. Yep. If you don't want to pay you don't want to pay to this foreign government that's here that's ran by the British, that's still ran by the British, still ran by the Vatican. We paying them the interest on the loan that they gave to the United States.
And then at the end of the day, that's why we go to war with countries that actually fight for their freedom, aka Iran, Venezuela,
Yep.
all those countries that nationalize their resources
Hmm.
to where the money goes to the people. And they say, oh, you don't want to pay tribute from that oil. You don't want to let Shell come in there. You don't want to let
BP.
multinational government corporations come in and rape you. Then fuck it. We got something for your ass.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? We'll cause a propaganda organization, and black propaganda has been going ever since this conscious, what you call the awakening of us. If you ain't noticed the police shootings, all that shit to get us looking at other areas, all this shit start happening when all of us start waking up, when all of us start looking for the truth. A lot of the shit
Yeah.
that happened to us today in the news is only because they started seeing, because of the algorithm of the internet. Hey, these motherfuckers really looking into that shit. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like
Yep. Yeah.
we need to do
Yep.
something to get their eyes on something else. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? See,
Yep.
this country runs on magicians. They on one hand they got the apple in their hand, but while you ain't looking, they took your wallet.
Uh
You know what
huh.
I'm saying? That's why I say sometimes y'all should go look up the magicians that had them people on stage and they take their belt and they take their wallet and then start listening to how they do it. It's all about touching here and getting their eyes looking over here. Then I can get to their wallet and I can do all of this. Them pickpocket magicians. And then you'll understand what's really going on out here. They pickpocket magicians. They touching you on your shoulder, but the whole time they done slip your wallet out. Next thing you know, they got the belt off you. Next thing you know, looking up like, why the hell am I in my drawers? You know what I'm saying? Like what they done here. I used to watch a lot of that, and I'd be like, yo, how the hell are you doing that? But then I would watch how they say they do it. It's all about touch. And that's the same thing the sister run on, getting your eyes over here. Oh, look over here, look over here. And while you looking over here, that's why a lot of this war shit ain't got nothing to do with nothing. But why that's what we need to be worried about. While they doing war, we need to be also researching the backstory of what they passing. Anytime they go to war, they pass the most brutal shit behind the war.
Thank you, bro.
So while we worried about Iran and all that shit, man, behind the scenes, they probably passed some goddamn bullshit in the damn Senate right now. And we don't even know it. You know what I'm saying?
That's a fact. That's a fact, bro. Yep. That's what they doing, man. That's why a lot of times when people say they don't understand, like I was the same way. I hear people talking about like, what the hell is this nigga talking? Like, what is he talking about? You know what I mean? I used to do that with a history. I'm like, nigga, ain't no way, yo. We was slaves, nigga. What the fuck you talking about? You know what I'm saying? But then when I started looking into it,
and this is why those Israelites is always right. We were not a people of the magician class. The magician class come from over there in Europe. You know what I'm saying? That's why I think a lot. You know, that's why I think we failed. We had began to extradite a lot of the learnings of how the magician worked because we didn't want that evil shit running around in our societies, and now it's coming back to bite us a little bit because we're not used to dealing with what they call physical magicians. You know what I'm saying? A physical magician is a person that bring you on stage and in front of your face do some shit, leaving the crowd don't know how to do it. But if you pay closer attention, shit, he would have showed you what he did. It's not really super magic. It's just he's putting your eyes here, he's putting your shoulder here, he's touching you there, but the whole time he's just raping you. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But our culture is we so against, and it's not a bad thing. We're godly people. We're against a lot of this nonsense of the magic. But we do have to understand the snake to learn how to defeat it. It's just in that, I'm not hate to say this, it will come back to in some ways that some people will use it for bad. That's why a lot of these people get in these so-called secret societies because they start to learn about the magicianship and they become magicians themselves, plain sight magicians. You know. Talk to you, my brother, but the whole time, shit, show your face to that nigga if you want to. The Fed's gonna be at your door. You say too much to him.
That's a fact, bro. That's a fact. And them motherfuckers is really the problem. That's why when you look at the whole secret society, all that shit was doing was hoarding a lot of our ancient knowledge in these fraternities and a lot of these fraternal orders. That was our knowledge, but the problem was that was an open door to all of us. All of us had those in our region.
Well, you know it was taught down in a way of like I was talking about earlier of pride. Not everybody at that days wanted to know all of that. They wanted to know the secrets of their craft. Some people were proud with their craft. You know what I'm saying?
Some people were specialists. Some families were specialists.
And families, that's the biggest word you say, families. There was families of grandfather was a blacksmith, brother was a black, the whole family do this. So they knew the secrets of that, but they didn't want to know the secrets of agriculture. They was blacksmiths. You know what I'm saying? Now it's all mixed in, so it can't be used in the right context. You know what I'm saying? It can't be used for the right power. But that goes back to everybody, you know, I was talking about everybody want to be the boss. Everybody want to be greater than thou and don't have no pride. Because when you stretch yourself in too many areas, sometimes you ain't a master of nothing. You know what I'm saying? And you can't pass all that down to everybody. Everybody, if y'all have kids, you know what I'm saying? Everybody's kids got, some of your kids good at math, some of your kids good at reading. You can't give, you gotta push what they good at. You can't just force him to be like, no, you're gonna be this, and it ain't gonna work out. You know what I'm saying? If your son ain't meant to be a doctor, but your daughter is, you can't try to make your daughter the mathematician and then make your son a doctor. You got to choose like, okay, you good at this and you work that. You know what I'm saying? But we missing out on craft. In the back in our old day, everybody had a craft. Some of us was on the chief level, which means we were a master of all, but a master of none. But we were good eloquators of messages. Some of us were great at getting the buffalo and cutting them up and making jackets. And and all that stuff. And there was a pride in that. There was a civic pride of that. We look at that person like that's cool. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Now we look at that dude like you simple. You know what I'm saying? Oh, you ain't got nothing to, but that's why, money is a, I don't know, but who knows how long this fiat currency gonna last? I think they're trying to turn this country into communism. That's not gonna work well for our people. We don't deal with trades. We don't deal well with actual work. You know what I'm saying? A lot of our people want the easy way out. I mean, it's easy to work at McDonald's. It's not hard. It's not easy to build houses. It's not easy to farm land. It's not easy to, you know what I'm saying? It's a craft that has to be cultivated and built.
Mm-hmm.
But if we could get back to that, the craft, and that's what the Masons use. They call it the craft. That's why I said there's speculative Masons now, and there's not actual working Masons anymore. There's nothing wrong with secret societies if they're put in a proper context. You know what I'm saying? Because the secrets are only a school of thought, a school of process. You know what I'm saying? Like when I was in the
Mm-hmm.
military, we got these things called OEMs, which was like manuals on how to turn on a reactor. You know what I'm saying? You can't just go in there and be like, on. You got to turn knobs. You got to do this. You got to do this first. You got to do this second. There's a process to all of this, but we've lost sight on the process. And I think that's something that's hurting us as a people, so that we can actually make something change. But we can make this shake, man. It's just all about focus and stop worrying about the masses and worry about the chosen. We fighting a
Right.
war of 1% versus 1%. We're not fighting 50 versus 50. You know what I'm saying? The rest of these people has been trained to be sheep, and unfortunately, that's not going to change. That might be something our kids change, but at least we can work on 1% versus the 1%.
Mm-hmm.
Because homie had a good idea. He said we had all of the power, if we had all the jobs, we had all this. What would have happened? I think in some ways that would be good, but without us understanding a code, conduct, process, and all of that, shit, it would just get turned on us. You know what I'm saying? It's niggas right now that that we think is cool or with us, but you know what I'm saying? If that money come or that threat come, is they really ready to put it on the line? Because sometimes death is something that has to happen to make change. A lot of people died for us to get here. You know what I'm saying? There was a time when they was gonna try to wipe us the fuck out. And if it wasn't for some people making sacrifices, maybe we wouldn't be here talking this shit today.
Yep. That's a fact, bro.
You know
That's
what
a
I'm saying?
fact.
And I
And that's
always say we need to be, don't forget their names. I love some of this Pan African shit. The only reason I love it, but I love how they sometimes don't forget the names. We don't forgot the names of our Aboriginal ancestors, the ones that paved the way for us to be here. You know what I'm saying? That's an old adage of something we've lost, the spiritual nature of those things. Don't forget your grandparents' names. Sometimes when you pray or you say, even if you don't even believe in no religion, sometimes you should just go to sleep and say their names just to let them know, because that spirit rides in all of us. But ain't everybody a warrior and ain't everybody a stand-up dude, you know? So we can't worry about no offense, but pussy ass niggas. We got to worry about the motherfuckers that's ready to go and get it. Because that's all we got at the end of the day. Because we will be the ones to start a fire that will burn all this to a new growth. You know what I'm saying? And that's the order of the Phoenix, which is died in the Moors. Us as Moors, us talking today, we are the Phoenix. We are the rebirth, coming out of the ashes of our own skin to become anew. The dragon only burns. You know what I'm saying? The dragon hoards gold and sit on it and burns everything. We can't always be
yep.
dragons. Sometimes we got to be willing to rebirth ourselves, and that's why we talk about Pan Africanism. They refuse to be reborn. They refuse to deal with the truth because they stuck in their dragon ways. I'll blow you down with fire. Well, guess what? You can blow me down all you want. I'm a phoenix. I'll rebirth and come back stronger. There's nothing you can do about that, and that's what they hate about that.
Damn, that's
Because
beautiful,
all
bro.
the,
That's beautiful.
it's just
Yeah, because yeah, that makes so much sense, bro. Everything you saying makes so much sense to me because when you talk about because when you say when you hit on that point that they hoard shit and hide it. When we was always a giving people and shared. You know what I'm saying? So when you talk
absolutely.
about the knowledge, now you're talking about schools. These ain't all this school, this bullshit school they got us in is not even on a level of the knowledge that we was teaching. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
So
education
they
is
hoard
actually indoctrination. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying?
So the real education is what they're hiding when they form these masons. That's the real. That was the education, the true education. You know what I'm saying? The shit
Yeah.
that they make you work, or you got to pledge, or you got to make an oath to do. That was normal to us.
But if you deal with black Masons and you see them grow, because I like my cousin is a granddaddy. I used to tell him all the time he's a Mason. My cousin, he wouldn't believe me, but when he died, then Masons came to his funeral. And the only reason he kept
Oh
asking me, "How did you know? How did you know?" And I said, "It's because he was so unhappy at the end of his life, and he used to push us away from it. Like, don't get caught up with them people. Don't do this." Because the end of this day, when he got the real truth of it all, I think it messed him up. You know what I'm saying? He was a so-called preacher and all that, and all, but at the end of the day, he died unhappy, and he died with these thoughts that he didn't want us to go down that path because he knew at the end
right,
of the day
right.
what it led to. You know what I'm saying? He went up those ladders and realized at the end of the day, damn, this is what it
They
is. You
selling
know what
us
I'm
out.
saying?
They selling their people out.
Yeah. And so
They
when he
selling
was
their
at his
people out, bro.
funeral, he was standing there. He said some dudes walked up with them chains on, and everybody was gone, and they was talking and doing some weird stuff with their hands in his casket. I said, man, spiritually, they probably was sending. I hate to say this, but they were sending him somewhere where you don't you don't want to talk about it, but it is what it is. And when you take them oaths, you can't have two masters. You serve your people in the Most High, or you serve the other side, and that's what it is. And a lot of people don't want. And I'm not trying to go biblical, but a lot of this stuff is adversarial, satanic. That's actual cult. There's a cult that's been around us as a people that's been here forever doing that. You know what I'm saying? The anti. You know what I'm saying? You can call it whatever you want, but they don't want to see. You know, you call it elitism, you can call it satanic, Luciferianism, Saturnian, whatever you want to call it. But these people are here to make sure that we don't see what they, because they know what's going to happen. There's no stopping us. As phoenixes, there's no stopping us because you can't burn us down. We will always grow out of the ashes. So all they can do is try to put a block there while they hold on to what they got, while they hold their baby, their little white baby in their arms and say, I'm going to grow him up. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to turn him into a standing man. He ain't going to be a monkey no more. No, you can't save that baby. You know what I'm saying? If that baby is between us and freedom, then we got to be willing to do whatever it, whatever it needs be to see us go. But it's not going to be all of us. And in a caste system that unfortunately this world's been on a long time, some of us are leaders and some of us are not. It's always been a world of sheep. It's just we had a system at one time to put them in a place where they could be proud of their craft or whatever they're doing. Now they just sheep. Now they just wander around aimlessly looking for some amount of money or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Some niggas just looking
Mm-hmm.
for a broad. You know what I'm saying? Some niggas looking for a fancy car. They just wandering around aimlessly looking for something that don't mean nothing because there's no pride
Thank
in
you,
the craft.
bro. That's the whole thing, that none of this shit means anything. It doesn't. So when we say that well, these people are stealing, they stealing something that we already got. You know what I'm saying? Like they didn't steal nothing. It's still here.
Yeah, they just using our
You know what I'm
systems
saying?
to put us in. Because I mean, that's why I say, and I do agree with some people say stop playing black men. Because at the end of the day, we dealing, and I've told this to them. I think we dealing with a class of magicians that are our own people. They
Yeah,
these class of
that's
magicians, the rogue priests, whatever you want to call them, and they in plain sight.
that's it.
They in every city we live in, and
That's
just
it.
because the mayor say he the mayor, that mayor answer to them niggas. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yo,
that's their baby.
they ain't nothing but
That white
puppets. They
that
nothing
white
but
boy is
puppets.
their
Anybody
baby.
in the public is a puppet. That's not the people that's running
Yeah,
everything. You don't see the
that's
people
true.
that's running everything.
Or you do, you just don't know it. You probably see the
Right,
nigga every
right,
day at the barbershop and don't know. I'm just being real with you. That nigga be getting his
right.
haircut right with you, listening to all y'all niggas talk about that shit and going back and telling them how to turn it against you. Oh, that's what they
Yo,
thinking. That's what they planning and shit. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah, that's
Because
it.
that white boy is their baby. And a lot of us don't understand that. When they brought him out their cage, that's their baby. That's
Right.
they little hybrid baby. They not gonna let you kill their baby. You know what I'm saying? That's their war front. That's their war. Like you said, they were moving them as warriors. That's their army.
Thank you.
You know what I'm saying? You niggas can't have nothing because as long as I got this army in between you and me, I can stand right here next to you and you'll think I'm just you. Because you so blind and look at them and say, oh, he the pot. No, nigga, I'm right here in this barbershop listening, bro. It's cool. because you're not gonna, but I'm gonna make sure my baby is equipped. I'm gonna make sure my baby got the means to stop you niggas from getting to me. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Because
Yep.
we white people ain't smart enough to pull this shit off, and I cannot believe that they are. I have
They not.
no. There's no way for them to be this young as a so-called race. There's no way. We got too many years and too many thousands of ideas, and all this system is based off of our system. That mean they using all our shit to do all this. That mean at the end of the day, they still have a master that looks just like us that has to explain this shit to them. Everything we do is they copy. How many times I
Right.
see white boys running around the city and motherfucking, the way they wear their jeans and their hats now? Man, they wasn't doing that years ago. They was wearing high waters, doing a twist. And that's even an Ozzy Brother song. You know what I'm saying? They doing a twist and don't even know that's a black song itself. We've been having these motherfuckers dancing since the damn 50s. You know what I'm saying? So they don't create nothing. So at the end of the day, it's got
Right.
to be some of our own people sitting there taking care of their baby, coddling them. You know what I'm saying? Putting them in a position to look like they winning. Because most of these white people in debt. Most of these white people got
There
so
you
much
go.
debt. That's why that you don't even like. Black people don't know nothing about that. These white people live off of credit.
Yo,
You know what I'm
hey,
saying?
That's what I was saying. That's what exactly. They living off our credit.
Off
right.
our
So just
bodies.
Yes.
we're gonna shut this stream down and we're gonna start another one up with Sister Betty Love. So you guys are definitely, I'm sure she wouldn't mind you guys sitting
No,
in.
I'm sorry. I know we got off the maybe. I thought this all full circle on Pan African shit, but I
Yeah,
really
no,
appreciate you having me on, my fam.
I can, no problem, man. Anytime. Um, like I said, you guys are definitely welcome. So we're gonna shut this one down, y'all. Stay tuned. We're gonna come back in with Sister Betty Love. So
That's all
we'll see
good.
you guys in a minute. All right, peace.
All right. Peace
Peace
to
and love.
God.
Yeah, I'm
Peace and love,
sorry. I'm
everybody.
sorry if we went off the rails or something. I'm sorry.
No, it's all good.